Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I am said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of May 2nd, 2024, including the Xbox Summer Showcase has been dated, and we are already getting a tease of a prominent announcement. Xbox hardware is tanking while the rest of the business thrives. Todd Howard speaks on accelerating the production of the next main entry in the Fallout series, and more, including, hey, Starfield finally got that 60 FPS on Series X. Let's talk about it. On this day, in this week in Xbox history, in the year 2009, 15 years ago, X-Men Origins Wolverine released for the Xbox 360. I keep meaning to say, Cronky was like, bro, just change it to this week instead of this day so you have more games to choose from. I'm like, that makes way more sense than day. But boy, oh boy, was he right, because X-Men Origins Wolverine, come on, man. Like, you know how, like, to all 7 of you who've listened to this podcast for a long time, you know what I'm talking about when I'm always, like, ranting and going on and on about, like, licensed movie tie-in games and how they used to be great, and, like, you know, the N64, PS2, OG Xbox into the 360 years were, like, just this amazing time for, you know, for every 500 shitty licensed movie games you got, like Rio 2 the video game or whatever the hell they were making back then, you also got, like, an X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, these are the games I fucking yearn for. And I know people love the spirit of these kinds of games because that shit lives on in things like Helldivers and the AA games that we see explode today. Because, God, dude, X-Men Origins Wolverine was just the most badass video game ever. It was such a perfect time because I think it came out, like, right around the time I was, like, in 8th grade, freshman year, something like that. And, God, it was like, I loved Wolverine. The game was so freaking violent, but not like in like a off-putting, disgusting, like gut-wrenching kind of way. It was just like, hey, there's a lot of blood and you slash people with your claws. And it was simple and it was fun. And guys, can you imagine the fact that they had this amazing Wolverine video game where it was all about this hack and slash fucking clawing your enemies combat, melee style, sword-based kind of combat. But get this, and you're going to have to fucking sit down after you hear this one. It wasn't a Souls game. The game was made in under 75 years. I think the development team was like, I don't like I actually don't know, so I'm making it up, but it was Raven Software, so probably like between 75 and 150 people. They made the game in like 2 or 3 years. The game was awesome. There was no fucking Souls-like mechanic, no parrying. There was no YouTube series about the downfall of X-Men Origins. There was no fucking YouTube series about what makes X-Men Origins Wolverine a masterpiece. It was just a fucking game. It came out, and if you were lucky enough to be an adolescent at the time, you probably went to school and your friends were like, yo, X-Men Origins Wolverine's a pretty fucking great game. And you're like, yeah, it is a pretty fucking great game. Why is it that in 15 years from now, we'll see so few games like this? And they'll be like, I don't know, but I do know I got to get the $120 version pre-ordered right now for Star Wars Outlaws because I can't wait to see what the latest fucking tiny droid character that Disney tries to sell me a fucking action figure of looks and sounds like, because I'm jaded and life is meaningless. So guys, X-Men Origins Wolverine, listen, all right, silliness aside, I'm just saying, right now Xbox is riding high on the success, the realization that something that was once old can be made new again if something in the TV movie space reignites it, you know? Right now they're just milking in all that money off these Fallout games that they didn't even pay for. Isn't that crazy? Xbox is making hand over fist money right now on Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Fallout Shelter. They didn't even fucking make any of those games, dude. Xbox didn't put a fucking penny into those games. Well, they may have put some marketing money into Fallout 3 because that game was pretty heavily associated with the Xbox. But anyway, point being, they didn't put a damn penny into those games 8, 10, 15 years ago when these games were coming out. And nowadays they're just raking it in because people are like, yo, that Fallout show's pretty darn good. Think about it. They now own Activision, which was the publisher and owner of X-Men Origins Wolverine. They own Raven Software, which is the developer that made X-Men Origins Wolverine. And they have a great working relationship right now with Disney/Marvel, who are all in on licensing out their IP. Bro, come on. What better time? Disney wants to cuck out their IP to video game publishers so bad right now. You could probably get like some Aspire type fucking port studio to slap together an X-Men Origins Wolverine game in 2 minutes, and knowing how today's games work, there'll be something fundamentally broken about this very simple, straightforward carryover port. You don't even need to make it look pretty. Just 60 FPS. It's on the Xbox Series X. I don't give a shit about the rest. I'm not saying it's as easy as Control C, Control V, but I am saying it would be a relatively inexpensive, reasonably ideally realistic thing to do. And well, why now? Why does this matter so much? Well, because that new Deadpool and X-Men movie, or Wolverine and Deadpool movie, is coming out in like a month or two, and people are fucking hyped because, I mean, rightly so. The movie looks great. Everyone's excited about it. Synergy, man. Get this fucking X-Men Wolverine game. Get it on the Series X. This is one of the few Xbox 360 games that desperately needs to be made backwards compatible, that isn't backwards compatible. Now you own the publisher, you own the developer. You just gotta knock on Disney's door and say, hey, stupid fucking Bob Iger, do you like money? And he'll say, I'm dumb and I'm the CEO and I like money. And then he'll take your money and then you put it on the fucking Xbox Series X. I'm not saying it will win you the console war. I'm not saying Xbox console sales are gonna pick right back up, but I am saying everyone who doesn't buy this port, this remake, this remaster, whatever it ends up being, is a fucking idiot. And will they probably choke on broccoli that's mildly undercooked and more offensively underseasoned? Probably. So make X-Men Origins Wolverine remastered edition, and don't give it one of those stupid remaster names. Don't call it like X-Men Origins Wolverine Reclawed or something like that. Just call it remastered. Respect my intelligence enough to just call it remastered, and it will be phenomenal. And it won't be a Souls game. Can you fucking imagine? It won't have a fucking dodge roll. There won't be a parry mechanic. I don't have to time and master the dodge. And I think there's like 3 words for the same mechanic. I don't fucking know. But it'll be great. I'll be so happy. Please just do it. That was This Week in Gaming, brought to you by MobyGames.com. Mike Clark writes in and says, Xbox on, the greatest Halo TV show podcast on the interweb. We'll probably get back into Halo at some point this podcast, because can I ever go a single week without mentioning Halo? Notable games releasing this week. You guys, there are a couple games I want to get to, but most importantly, really, the main thing we got to know is it's here. The week is here. The day is here. Actually, it's come and gone by the time you're listening to this podcast. But as of April 30th, the final day of April, Sea of Thieves is officially available on the PlayStation 5. It's selling like crack. People are probably loving it right now. I'm just guessing that people are probably eating this shit up and they're going, wow, Xbox gamers aren't so fucking stupid after all, because this Sea of Thieves game is pretty good. And they go, I wish I bought a Xbox One or Xbox Series console sooner to enjoy Sea of Thieves, but I was worried that my basketball friends would have fucking laughed at me because I wasn't on PS5 at the time. And then they'll enjoy it, and then Xbox will make money, and then they'll probably put Forza, Halo, and Gears on the PlayStation 5, and then no one will ever buy an Xbox again. Then Xbox will stop making hardware, and then we'll just add that to the graveyard of the fucking Arizona Coyotes and Windows Phone and all the things that I cared about that the rest of the world decided, fuck you, that doesn't matter. And Sea of Thieves now on PlayStation. If you like playing your video games on the PlayStation, why don't you enjoy this wonderful game on that platform? Also out this week, Braid Anniversary Edition. This is actually an XBLA classic, now being remastered. Jonathan Blow, legendary game developer. I don't know if legendary is the word, because I mean he's only, I guess, been in the industry for like 15 years in this kind of more prominent role. But whatever. Anyway, this is considered kind of one of those high art, well regarded, like instant classic indie games, and it was, of course, inextricably tied to the success in the early golden era of the Xbox Live Arcade, summer arcade kind of days on the 360. And to see this game get an anniversary remastered full HD whatever edition for Xbox One, Series S and X, and PC, as well as mobile devices, it's pretty cool to see it kind of come back. It's a game that, while not necessarily an Xbox game, has a lot of history with the Xbox brand and therefore, you know, some kind of relevance and prominence. It is available on PlayStation and I think Nintendo Switch and iPhone as well. So for those who like playing video games on other platforms, guess what? There's so many ways. Just like Sea of Thieves and other great Xbox exclusives, there are many great ways to enjoy this game on not Xbox. So, guys, that's it for the notable game releases. Now I feel like we can kind of take a Xanax, chill the fuck out, and just kind of get into the normal run of Xbox On. It's episode 257. Crazy, man. Most podcasts host's dream of making it to 214, and the fact that I've surpassed that by getting all the way up to 257 and presumably onward, I mean, it's just astonishing. And I wouldn't be here without you, all my loyal, subservient listeners and patron supporters. Be sure to give me all your fucking money. You will get nothing free. You will get no additional shows. You will get no Zoom calls with me. In fact, there's no personal benefit you get from subscribing to my Patreon and giving me your money, other than just having the satisfaction of knowing that I can now afford my mortgage. So consider checking out my non-existent Patreon. Guys, let's start with some mildly amusing stories. I should preface by saying this week is the exact opposite of what the past few weeks have been. It is a great news week, just in terms of like having interesting things to talk about and plenty of them. So fear not, we're not going to be like getting into the nitty gritty of who took a bite out of Todd Howard's ham and cheese sandwich in the Bethesda Game Studios break room and get into the bottom of that. We're going to actually talk about like real news, because there's shit to get into. And speaking of Todd Howard and his broken heart over his half-eaten ham and cheese sandwich, we got two stories to kick off with that pertain to Todd Howard, Bethesda, Fallout, Starfield. So let's just jump right into it. Toddy Howard, Hot Toddy, he was on a Kinda Funny Games podcast last week, and a couple news stories came out as a result of that. And then the main one here being this ongoing conversation we've been seeing for the past few weeks about, okay, Fallout, the TV show, is really popular. People want more Fallout. What are you guys going to do to get us another Fallout game before the clock strikes midnight and the sun falls into the earth and humanity ends and burns into oblivion? So from VGC, we'll just read their write-up here, kind of transcribing some of the words spoken on the Kinda Funny Games podcast. Howard was discussing the long wait between new Bethesda games during his interview, like the wait from Starfield to Elder Scrolls 6 and then presumably on to Fallout 5. He says, quote, they do take a lot of time, these games. And so I think one of the things we're focused on here is obviously making sure they're of the highest quality, but also finding ways to increase our output, because we don't want to wait that long either, right? It's never our plan, but we want to make sure we get it right. Continuing on, it says, off the back of the success of the Amazon Fallout TV show, the franchise appears to be more popular than it's ever been. Howard has been asked if it has led to Bethesda discussing the possibilities of partnering with external developers, for example, more non-numbered series entries like, for example, Fallout New Vegas was, or maybe a mobile spinoff, even if it's not Fallout 5 proper, just more Fallout. He says, quote, I would say that we've always had those conversations, he replied. I mean, to his defense, that's what Fallout 76 basically is. We did a lot of things for that show. It might seem like there isn't a big new game out, but we added content to Fallout 76 for the TV show. 76 has a really great map expansion that's coming this summer with Skyline Valley. Todd Howard, with all due respect, you know what we're fucking talking about. He says, so we look at what we're doing with the franchise and we say, do we still feel good about this? I can't reveal it now. Our runaway for Fallout as a franchise. When is season 2 happening? What are we doing on mobile? What are we doing with 76? What are we going to do this new thing? What are we doing with this other thing? When are these all landing? And again, if I could snap my fingers and have all of them out and already ready, I would. But the main thing is, how do we deliver these at a high quality level? And that's the most important thing. Following the release of Fallout New Vegas, Bethesda turned down multiple proposals from Obsidian being the developer of Fallout New Vegas, to develop more Fallout games, as well as an Elder Scrolls spinoff, according to studio co-founder and former chief creative officer Chris Avalon. Later, it's kind of funny, in the kind of funny interview, oh my gosh, Todd Howard was asked whether Microsoft owning Bethesda and Obsidian has opened up more opportunities for collaborations like Fallout New Vegas, to which he wraps up and says, first of all, I'll say they did an amazing job with Fallout New Vegas. I can't speak to things that we are doing with the franchise in the future, obviously, but New Vegas is a very, very important game to us and to our fans. We think they did an incredible job. That's a little bit of a PR response there, but it is important to note that there is and this is really the sum of it, there's a lot of pressure right now on Bethesda Game Studios, on Bethesda as a whole, and by extension, on Xbox and Microsoft to accelerate the output of Fallout content. Now, I know there are a lot of naysayers and haters out there that will go, why does Todd Howard keep saying that the reason it takes so long to get new games out is because they care so much about the quality? Bethesda games have the worst graphics, the most jank, the most bugs. They're so stupid. They're archaic. Their engine is out of date. Their graphics are bad. They don't have enough naked lizard women like Baldur's Gate 3, etc., and so on. But to that, I would say, listen, man, clearly, there is a lot of love and attention that gets poured into these games, and I really do, even if this is to some extent a PR response from Mr. Howard, I do kind of take this at face value and agree with what he's saying, that Bethesda must truly care about the quality of the games they put out, because even though Bethesda's games don't come out having the highest graphical fidelity you've ever seen, even though they don't come out always with the most boundary pushing next generation mechanics and ideas that really break our brains and make us rethink what a video game can be. The truth of the matter is, I've been getting into RPGs in the past few years rapidly and voraciously in a way that I never gave a shit about the genre before. And one thing I have noticed as I have increasingly played more and more, especially these Western style role-playing games, is that despite the fact that all these well-known developers and publishers have a lot of, they all have their own kind of claim to fame and their own reasons for why they're so good at what they do, I don't know that anyone does as good a job as Bethesda when it comes to just really good world building. And I don't mean good world building by like, wow, look how expansive the planets in Starfield are. Wow, look, you can travel from planet to planet in your spaceship and explore deep space. It's like, no, because I know that's what people bitch about, but that's not what matters actually, and that's not what I'm even touching on. Because what matters is Bethesda is so good at finding this weird striking balance between environmental storytelling, great questing, NPC dialogue, main narrative dialogue, and finding quest objectives and balancing it all together where some fucking how these worlds that they build feel so alive, and not in like the vague E3 PR kind of statement of alive, like, oh, this game feels alive, like Far Cry 7, because there's so many side quests and so many outposts to take out. Not like that. Alive in that it's like, when I play a Bethesda game, I really don't know how to put it into words other than to just say, when I play a Bethesda game, I just get sucked into what I'm doing so much faster and so much deeper than I do when I'm playing most other RPGs. Not everything. Like, I recently played Wasteland 3, loved that game, and that game similarly sucked me in the way that, like, Skyrim did and the way that Starfield did. But it's just, I don't know, it's something between that balancing of, like, their storytelling, the world they build off, the way they use all the kinds of objects and lore and letters and audio tapes and things you can just find around the world to kind of just suck you in and really get you engrossed in this world. And I think Bethesda does it better than anyone else. And, I haven't played everything. I make fun of it a lot, but I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, so I don't know what makes that game so special. I'm sure it's very special, and I just don't understand it. But my point is just that I really think Bethesda clearly has a high quality mark, just in terms of building rich worlds that a lot of people take for granted and kind of don't appreciate the nuance of. Like, people just look at graphics and then they take to Twitter to be absolute, like, just fucking deviant pieces of low-lying scum and being like, oh, look, the grapes in Fallout don't look as impressive graphically as the apples in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 7. And it's like, all right, shut the fuck up, you fucking scum, you absolute bottom-feeding piece of shit subhuman. You know what I mean? It's like, focus on stuff that actually matters. And I just think from that point of view, it's like, I get it. And I get how, as a creative, you could be really controlling over that and be really reluctant to relinquish your babies to other people, even if Fallout is something you acquired from another developer, and even if other teams that have worked on your babies have done a wonderful job with it, it's still at the end of the day your baby. And I kind of get that, and I respect that from a creative standpoint. And so I get the rock and the hard place that Bethesda's in with kind of being like, yeah, I know you guys really like the Fallout show, but please fuck off and let us do our thing. I kind of tend to stick more to the track of, like, let them fucking do their thing. As the kids like to say, let them cook. If there's a huge gap between the Fallout TV show and the next Fallout game, it's like, so fucking be it. Let them make the games they want to make. Let them work on the projects they want to work on. And if the shit is good, it will be good when it's ready, whether it's tomorrow or in 10 years. Like, calm the fuck down. There's enough great games to play right now, okay? And there's enough reasons to go back and play Fallout 76 or replay Fallout 4 or just maybe, I don't know, play something else you haven't played before that, like, we can calm the fuck down. I get the excitement. It's cool. People are excited, but, like, shut up. But then on the flip side of it, there's, of course, Microsoft. And it's like, you can understand how Microsoft might be like, all right, we're going to put a little pressure on you because now we own InXile, we own Obsidian, we own Bethesda, we own basically everyone who's ever been affiliated with the Fallout franchise. Plus we own a ton of other teams. Plus we are a fucking money-making machine now that we own Call of Duty, and we want results. We want more games. We want more content to feed the Game Pass machine. And you could see them say, hey, Bethesda, we love you, but we're going to take Fallout out of your hands for a little bit. We're going to give it to this developer or these two developers. We're going to ask you to do some like producing and overseeing and shepherding work as this team creates a new Fallout game because we need to get something out for fiscal year 29 or whatever the fuck, whatever. And you could, I don't know, you could see that being a thing, but at the same time, that kind of goes against the whole thing that a lot of teams and publishers that have been acquired by Xbox have praised Xbox for, which is they really kind of leave us the fuck alone. They let us make the games we want to make, and they give us enough rope to hang ourselves for better and for worse, which is, something Bethesda's praised, something Blizzard was just recently in the news praising. And it's something all the teams that they acquired in like 2018, 2019 were praising Xbox for. So for better and for worse, this is another example of like Xbox kind of lets these guys do their thing. And I personally think, especially in the case of like Bethesda, a group that has acted as its own independent publisher and has its own various teams that it's managed quite well over the years, I think that you'd be wise to mostly just let Bethesda fuck off and do what they want to do. Maybe you do try to wrestle them for the IP and say, let someone else, you guys can still make Fallout 5 on your own timeline, do whatever the fuck you want, but maybe let someone else make another game. But the thing is, I know everyone always just looks straight to fucking Obsidian and goes, make me another Fallout game. We liked New Vegas. It's like, well, hey, they're busy, man. They're finishing up Avowed right now. That might be a huge hit. Who knows? Probably not because it's an Xbox game. But we know they're also working on Outer Worlds 2. They're busy. They got a full plate right now. They don't have time to do another New Vegas game. So it's like, who else is available? InXile is working on Clockwork Revolution, and they're not as large a team, even though they are sizing up, especially compared to like Bethesda Game Studios or even Obsidian. So it's like, they're kind of full right now. They're not available. Like, who do you want to step in and make this new Fallout New Vegas game? Fallout 2 Vegas. Like, what you want them to cancel Outer Worlds 2? You want them to just not support Avowed once it comes out? You want Clockwork Revolution to just not be made? It's like, we got a lot of cool shit in the oven right now. Let's let it happen, man. It's okay. Like, Fallout is great. I love Fallout, but I don't know, Wasteland, which is basically also Fallout, which is, Fallout is basically we can't make another Wasteland game, so let's create Fallout. Wasteland 3 was fucking awesome. Avowed looks phenomenal. So it's like, it doesn't always need to be the IP, the specific IP you've been taught to love. It's like, isn't it okay that sometimes you don't get Fallout and you get a new Wasteland game, or sometimes you don't get Elder Scrolls 6 and you just get Avowed instead? It's like, there's room for other things, man. It's okay. A lesson I wish so badly Disney could learn. Wouldn't it be so cool if Mandalorian didn't get a fucking fifth child and maternity leave and fucking alimony payout, and maybe instead of just giving him another fucking Yoda to raise, we just make, I don't know, another sci-fi movie, something new, something different. So I don't know. It's I get it on all fronts, but it's like, let's take a deep breath and ask ourselves, is what we really want to accelerate the development of Fallout? Is it not true that what makes Fallout so great is that these are excellent games that have been carefully crafted and cooked, quote unquote, for long periods of time? Like, we've known about the Fallout TV show for years, and people like myself laughed it off and said that will suck. And they took their sweet ass time getting this show together, and it finally happened. And guess what? It was great. It's a fucking great TV show, but it wasn't made great because someone at Microsoft said, "Oh, this show's going to be really popular. Let's hurry it the fuck up. Let's give it to that pedophile that made iCarly and see if he can maybe get season 2 out the door a little faster. What do you think about that?" It's like, just chill out, man. It will come when it comes. As Vice President Kamala Harris once said to ex-President Donald Trump, "Do not come." To which Donald Trump replied, "Oh, I'm going to come." Yeah, I don't fucking know. Calm down. I've been playing Fallout 4 this whole past weekend. Guess what? It's still a great game. Go play Fallout 4. Go play Fallout 4. Take out the trash. Mow your goddamn lawn, please. All right, keeping with Bethesda. Now we're talking about Starfield. Spoiler alert. It's getting better. It's a great game. Underappreciated game. That's what I love about Starfield so much. I'm so happy we got Starfield instead of just instantly getting another Elder Scrolls. Isn't that so cool that we got another new thing? Starfield's so great. Anyway, Bethesda has detailed the next Starfield update, which includes improved surface maps and new performance options. If that sounds boring, it's because it is, but it gets really exciting. So yeah, there's new detailed surface maps fans have been requesting since the launch of the game. It shows more geometry, including remote locations rather than just large cities. This is actually an important feature for people who play the game more extensively than me. But the more important thing is that aside from that, they're also adding a new extreme difficulty mode that will be introduced, which is an even higher difficulty setting. That's not the really important part because I play the game on normal mode. What's really exciting is that players will now be able to customize the interior of their ships, similar to the way they can customize their home. About to throw up here, what the hell? Similar to the way they can customize their homesteads. But that's not the really exciting part. The really exciting part of this update is, here we go, I bolded it. I put it in bold, highlighted and put in bold. The update will also change the game's performance on Xbox Series X. Not the Series S, just the sexy, boxy, beefy 27 teraflop Xbox Series X. So the update will add a performance mode that will now target 60 frames per second for users with a variable refresh rate display, and a 40 FPS option will be available as well. You can now choose between 30, 40, or 60 FPS or uncapped frame rate on a VRR display, says Bethesda. If you don't have a VRR display, a variable refresh rate display, running at 120 Hertz, which I don't have, you will be able to select 30 or 60 FPS. Screen tearing may occur at times when selecting 60 FPS on a non-VRR display. Oh, I'm going to screen tear the fuck out of this game. They say, quote, you could also now prioritize between visuals and performance while trying to maintain the frame rate target. If you choose the frame rate target of 60 or above, we recommend changing the performance. Prioritizing visuals keeps the highest resolution while making full detail for special effects like lighting and crowds. So this is a really exciting feature. They also confirmed that they're also working on the first land-based vehicle for the game, which I know is something people have been talking about since the launch week of the game. I know it's something I immediately was like, that'd be a great introduction. So especially for those planets that are especially barren, where all you're really doing is like surveying the fauna and flora of the planet, it'll be really nice to have that land-based vehicle to kind of more quickly traverse. So that's all great stuff. This is great. And I know there's some naysayer out there. Where was all this stuff day one? Shut up. I know I was a little bit of a naysayer as well, and I was a little bit of like why is it not 60 FPS? I've done a lot of maturing and growing over the past year. Not really, but as it pertains to just this one specific thing I have, which is that I kind of get it a little more now. I realized I was being a little harsh and unrealistic about the power and the capability of the Xbox console, especially, video game consoles in general, relative to how powerful PCs can be and how demanding these modern video games are. And I understand how, something like 60 FPS on Starfield, not necessarily impossible, just wasn't really the best place to put all your development effort in. And guess what? When the game came out, it was great at 30 FPS. And when you look at the criticism and the failures that this game did experience, pretty much none of it had to do with the game's performance or frame rate or anything like that, right? So clearly they focused their attention, efforts, and power in all the right places. And now that we're getting these improvements over time, it's just the cherry on top, especially because this is how Bethesda typically is with their games. They're these huge games. They do come out content complete and a really fully finished and highly polished product for the most part. I don't know about the highly polished part, but a highly detailed and finished and fleshed out product. But they do tend to add and add and add over the years, whether it be new quests, new features, performance, things like that. So this just seems like they are treating Starfield as they have treated previous Fallout and Elder Scrolls games, and as is the case with those aforementioned franchises, Starfield's only getting better because they're going to add some shit that people want. So if you're like me and you play on Xbox and you don't play mods, this is going to be a great update. And then for those saying, hey, speaking of mods, when are mods coming to Starfield? They said they're coming. Calm down. I don't know. I don't care about the mods, so I don't feel antsy. But I could see why you might care if you like mods. So I don't know when, but they said they are coming. Next up, let's talk about Resident Evil. It has nothing to do with Bethesda, which means that we're finally talking about a different subject matter. So speaking of people who have betrayed Xbox. That's an exaggeration. Veteran video game developer Shinji Mikami has opened up about his departure from Tango Gameworks in a recent interview. It was confirmed last February that Mikami was leaving Tango Gameworks, the studio behind The Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Hi-Fi Rush, which he founded in 2010 before selling it to Bethesda. After it emerged last month that the Resident Evil creator had established a new company, Mikami appeared on a Japanese YouTube channel called Biking to discuss his career and what he wants to do in the future. According to Automation, Mikami and Biking told Biking that he'd planned to leave Tango for 8 years before doing so, but felt the responsibility to continue working on the studio's games. When asked why he wanted to leave, he reportedly cited a desire to create an environment designed to give young game creators more regular experience by making games with shorter development cycles, and he said he thinks that there's an audience for more unique, small-scale titles. Well, this sure sounds like exactly the kind of work you did at Tango Gameworks, that resulted in games like, Hi-Fi Rush. Mikami is best known for his work at Capcom, where he directed the first Resident Evil, its 2002 GameCube remake, and Resident Evil 4, among other titles, and he also reportedly said that he wanted to leave Tango to break free from the survival horror genre that made him famous. Wow, almost like he did when you released Hi-Fi Rush at Tango Gameworks. Mikami also clarified his role within Tango Gameworks prior to his departure, where he says, quote, I had only been CEO for 6 months. I think a lot of people were under the impression that I was the representative, but I was very close to a rank and file employee. I had a producer attached to my name, but I wasn't an executive or anything of the sort. So basically it comes down to he wasn't really a high-ranking end-all be-all type figure at the studio, but he left because he wanted to go do things that were very similar to what Tango Gameworks has kind of become in recent years, especially with releases like Hi-Fi Rush, but also somewhat with Ghostwire Tokyo as pertains to like the games with a short development cycle that are smaller scale and more unique. So I don't know what to say about this, because I feel like if Shinji Mikami, I don't know, I can't speak to when he was with Bethesda and Bethesda was independent, but at least a version of Tango Gameworks and Bethesda that lives under the Xbox umbrella. I feel like if Shinji Mikami came to a Phil Spencer type figure and said, yo, I want a lot of power at this team and I want to be able to do this, this, and this, Phil Spencer would put on his fucking sex god sunglasses and say, anything you want shall be granted, my soothsayer. And that would have happened, because how do you say no to Shinji Mikami? If you're Phil Spencer, if you're Xbox, how do you not want more than anything to hold on to the talent behind, the visionary behind Resident Evil 4? I just feel like this is so fucking obvious. So I feel like there's a little bit of an inconsistency between what he's saying with why he left and what he wanted to go on and do, and with what he was actually fucking doing at Tango. So I don't fully buy this. I feel like there's something else behind it. And I don't know. I can't help but feel like there is some weight to the rumors and not really the rumors, but the speculation, I should say, that a guy like Shinji Mikami looks at, working for Bethesda, a very American company, and then having that company acquired by Xbox, a far more American company, and then going like, I feel like I'm really working for and making games in service of a market that doesn't reflect me and my culture and the audience I'm used to making games for, and the types of, in just work environment that I may be a little more accustomed to, especially when you think about Capcom and, Resident Evil and just how Japanese all of that shit is. And you think about like the rumors about trying to take games like Hi-Fi Rush and put them on PlayStation, put them on Nintendo Switch, and how it's like finally you have this game created by this Japanese developer that's able to release this artistic project they made to their fucking market, in the market that shares their sensibilities. It doesn't mean the Western market in more particularly the US, which is where of course Xbox and Bethesda are based out of. It doesn't mean that they can't appreciate games like Ghostwire Tokyo or Hi-Fi Rush, or they can't appreciate developers like Tango Gameworks, because of course I think I speak for all of us when I say we all love Tango Gameworks. We appreciate them. Even if we don't love their games, we at least admire them and respect them to a pretty decent extent. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's like, what would it be like if you took what's like the most American video game developer I can think of? I don't know. Maybe the Coalition's actually a lot of Canadians, so I think they're based in Canada. Yeah, they're in Vancouver. What am I fucking saying? Doesn't matter. Canadians are Americans. We're fucking brothers in arms. I know the Canadians are a little embarrassed by us, but suck it up. We're brothers. Okay. It's like taking the fucking Gears of War developer and being like, all right, you guys are now based out of Tokyo and you make Gears of War games. that are primarily for the Japanese market, that are mostly just available on Nintendo hardware. It's like, yeah, maybe at some point it's just kind of like, I don't know, my heart's not in it. It doesn't mean you don't like the Japanese market. It doesn't mean you don't like working in Tokyo and living in Tokyo, but it's like, maybe you want to, although Tango Gameworks is still based in Japan, so it's not really a one-to-one. I don't know. Doesn't matter what I'm saying. I just feel like there's a weird discrepancy between what he was doing at Tango and what he says were his reasons for leaving. I don't know. It's like, why did you quit your job? It's like, because I wanted to make a six-figure income, and then you check the records, and it's like, bro was making $175K a year. Like, what the fuck do you want? It's just weird. It's like he was doing the thing he said he wanted to do, and then still left. So, all right, I'm beating a dead horse. So let's beat People Who Can Fly instead, because unfortunately, People Can Fly have canceled their co-op action RPG codenamed Project Dagger after several years of development. Now, normally this would be kind of towards the end of the podcast in like the layoffs and shit kind of section where just sad news lays or exists. But I want to mention this because technically it's not layoffs. It's just a game cancellation. And also because I really love People Can Fly, and this makes me personally sad, and I just wanted to kind of mention it more at the top. So as spotted by ex-user Maro NL, the Polish company informed investors this month that the game had work discontinued as of April 5th. They said they decided to cancel the project after a reevaluation of the scope and commercial potential of the game. The cancellation is expected to have a negative impact on their standalone fiscal financial results for 2023 by about $16.9 million, and its consolidated financial results by about $19.75 million. The company behind games like Painkiller, Bulletstorm, Gears of War Judgment, and Outriders had been planning on self-publishing the Project Dagger title after it was dropped by original publisher Take-Two Interactive 2 years ago. According to the developer, the website said that the AAA title was a co-op action melee RPG development of which was being led by the New York studio. At least 50 people were working on it at one point, so this is kind of like their second-in-command team. The original IP was targeted in 2025 to 2026 release and was planned as the first entry in a new franchise. Back in January, People Can Fly reportedly laid off over 30 developers working on an unannounced Square Enix project, which is probably Outriders 2. So what the fuck is People Can Fly working on? Their game has been canceled. Their Square Enix project has been scaled back. Are they just having more of like a skeleton crew work on Outriders 2? Do they have nothing in development? Like what's... And that's why I just want to bring this up. This is one of those ones that makes me a little shaky and nervous. This is one of those things where I know why Xbox bought Activision and what they stand to gain from that. But when I look at the teams that were available and on the market and what ideally would make a great Xbox portfolio versus what Xbox actually bought, I think about like how it's like, wouldn't it be so cool and wouldn't it be so possible for Xbox to maintain its original identity if they went for acquisitions like People Can Fly and like Remedy Entertainment instead of, Activision and Call of Duty and Bethesda and stuff like that. Bethesda bothers me less, but it's a pretty big one that has a huge cultural impact. But yeah, the Activision one still rubs me the wrong way. I'll always say it's the same thing. It's very much Disney acquiring 21st Century Fox and National Geographic kind of energy, where it's just like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck does Activision have to do with Master Chief? What is National Geographic? What does Hulu and all the weird gory fucking pornographic shit have to do with Mickey Mouse? What's going on here? So I don't know. It just makes me sad because People Can Fly, a team that's very capable, very talented, just needs the resources and the time to be able to do their thing and work their magic, could just fucking flourish under the Xbox banner. I think about like how great their games could be if they were an Xbox team, just like how teams like In Exile and Obsidian and all these teams are just fucking doing awesome shit under Xbox. This is one of those teams. It's like right up there. And plus they have that kind of built-in history. A lot of their history is very much on the PC with working with teams like Epic and working on first-person shooters and working with Microsoft on Gears Judgment. And I just feel like there is kind of a historied natural fit between a company like People Can Fly and a company like Microsoft or Xbox. And I don't know. I can't read these stories without feeling sad because I love this developer and I hate the shit they're going through and how this could possibly spell for serious, a seriously precarious and uncertain future for them, while also just, seeing the obvious marriage that match made in heaven that would have been Xbox and People Can Fly. Although I understand you're going to get a lot more Game Pass subscribers, you're going to get a lot more chances to sell Xbox hardware if maybe you get Call of Duty on Xbox a Game Pass instead of, whatever fucking awesome, no doubt awesome game, but, smaller, lesser known, lesser cared for action melee RPG you would have gotten with People Can Fly. So hopefully they do well. Hopefully they pull through. Hopefully they find good publishing partners to work with and are able to get funded. But it's a bad time out there to be losing staff, canceling projects, and in between projects in general. So here's hoping that People Can Fly are able to continue to fly, because goddamn, it'll be so sad to see these guys get shut down. You know what I mean? All right, and lastly, as we close out the opening news segment, I just want to pay quick respects to Matthew Schell, veteran LucasArts talent, who worked at LucasArts for over 20 years, who passed away earlier the week from a heart attack. Jeff Keighley, the Game Awards guy, took to Twitter to announce his passing, which is kind of weird to have that person make that announcement. But anyway, he said some kind words about him and about how he misses him and all that stuff. And just want to kind of put it out there, whenever someone notable in the games industry gets, in the news for their passing or something, just always want to shout out their name, shout out their credits, and pay some respect, because as someone who benefits greatly from the games industry and all the people who work in it and create these awesome games, it's always sad when we lose talent and people who help make it all possible. So Schell is credited on virtually every significant release in the LucasArts catalog for the last 2 decades. He's most recently credited in 2023's Star Wars Jedi Survivor, where he served as the game's director of brand marketing. So may you rest in peace. Thoughts with the family and people affected. And Jeff Keighley. Why is he the one that made the announcements? I can't get over that. I butchered that. Let's move on, guys, because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Guys, that is it for our opening news segments. We're going to get into the main news, but first, like we do every week, we're going to talk about the games I've been playing this week, get into that a little bit. But before I can tell you about the games I've been playing this week, I got to first tell you about what I've been eating. And I got to say, guys, I like to be negative about Bob Iger. I like to be negative about a lot of things. But I don't like to be negative about the food at Walt Disney World, because contrary to the stigma, I actually think, for the most part, food at Walt Disney World's pretty fucking fantastic. And this week, I had the unfortunate experience where I think I ate at the worst restaurant at Walt Disney World. It's just, I try not to talk about Disney food too much on the podcast because it's so hyper specific. It's like I talk about a new Taco Bell item, it's like, oh man, Taco Bell, yeah, I saw that they had that, I might go try one of those. But if I talk about the new Mickey cupcake, the new Anna and Elsa cupcake at Epcot, it's like half you gonna be listening and be like, what the fuck's an Epcot? Or like, I'm not going to Disney World, why are you telling me this? But listen, it's important. I gotta talk about it because the best part about Walt Disney World, aside from the amazing theming and the immersion and just all of that, is the experience of eating at Walt Disney World. I'm talking about everything from like eating like snacks around the Magic Kingdom theme park, like getting a hot dog and pretzels and all that little kind of junky theme parky shit, all the way to like the nice sit down restaurants that are at their resort hotels and everything in between. So generally, I love food at Disney World. It's my favorite part about going to Disney. And I think there's this weird phenomenon where, like, you're on vacation, food just tastes better. So, like, when I didn't live here and we'd be on vacation at Walt Disney World, you get, like, a fucking non-alcoholic pina colada or a cheeseburger spring roll or whatever the fuck you get when you're at the theme park, and it tastes, like, 10 times better than it tastes. It's like, oh, we don't have food like this back home. This is amazing. And you kind of, like, trick yourself in line and enjoy the food way more because you're on vacation. Why not? I think that kind of works everywhere. Like if you went on a cruise or if you went to Hawaii or if you live in Wyoming and you go on vacation to Dallas, whatever the hell it is. When you eat food, you go out and you try new food and you're on vacation, food just tastes better. But one of the unfortunate realizations I've had in my 5 years now living in Florida is that, one, I've witnessed my girlfriend go from like, ooh, the food at Disney is so yummy, to like being a jaded local who's just like, I don't like that place is bad, I think that's overpriced, that's kind of disgusting, the bread's stale, I don't like, whatever, and just kind of like watching, like having my heart break as she becomes normalized to the overpriced theme park food that Disney offers, but also just in general, like just living around locals who are so fucking jaded and entitled and just overlook all the amazing shit they have living here and listen to them just be like, oh, I don't eat at the restaurants at Disney, they're not that good. It's like, you don't fucking know what you're talking about. Like generally, like in my book, and I tried to eat at as many restaurants at Disney as I possibly can. There's so many of them and I'll probably never eat at them all. I try to eat at as many of these restaurants as I can, and generally speaking, the worst restaurants are like, it wasn't amazing, but I'm glad I ate there. It was really fun. The restaurant was really well themed. It was a really fun experience. The dessert was good. The service was good. Whatever, it was a good time. It ranges from that on the low end all the way to the high end where it's like, dude, some of these restaurants at Walt Disney World are full stop. My favorite restaurants in the entire world. Like, phenomenal food, phenomenal service, everything just out of this world. Like, it's generally pretty fucking good, especially if we're talking about like table service, sit down kind of restaurants. But there's the setup, right? Unfortunately, this past weekend, I think I dined at what is the worst restaurant at Walt Disney World, located at the Coronado Springs Resort, which is one of my favorite hotels at Disney. It's so fucking beautiful. Maya Grill. And this is a restaurant I actually ate at like 5 or 6 years ago. Before we lived here, when we actually were on vacation, we stayed at this resort and we ate here. And this is like, they're kind of like middle of the road priced, kind of like family Mexican restaurant that's at this hotel. And the restaurant's so fucking cool. It's like Maya Grill. It's themed to this Mayan temple, and like there's this whole backstory about like the different sections of the restaurant are themed to these different Mayan temples that represent like fire and water and like all these different things that the gods provided to the Mayans so they could have the harvest and have the resources to survive off the land and stuff. And it's like, it's got backstory. It's beautifully themed. The lighting is just beautiful. The decor has that beautiful late 90s, early 2000s, like kind of higher class kind of aesthetic that's just so timeless and beautiful in my eyes. I love like late 90s to early 2000s, like classy kind of styling, like that more high-end look. It just so much better than today. Today everything looks so sterile and gray and sad by comparison. So I have such an affinity for this restaurant because it looks so beautiful. The theming and the ambiance is like an absolute 10 out of 10. It's beautiful, and they play like just beautiful like background, like soft jazzy background music. It's just such a nice restaurant. And when we ate there like 5 or 6 years ago, I remember it was the only restaurant we ever ate at where my girlfriend's like, I don't like the food here. And I was like, I am kind of underwhelmed, but the food's solid. I'll come back in a few years. Maybe things will change, and I'll give it another try in the future. But I remember like being kind of like whelmed by it. It was just fine. It was just okay. So fast forward to this year, I've been begging my girlfriend to go back. Like, can we please go? I really want to give this place another try. She's like, no, I don't like that restaurant. That was the only bad restaurant we ever ate at Disney. We're not going. And I finally wore her down. I got her to agree to let us go. So we go to the restaurant, make a reservation, and unfortunately it was terrible. So like the menus changed quite a bit over the years. A lot of things about the restaurant have changed. First of all, they got this live guitarist that plays music while you eat. And I know for a lot of people, like, live music at a restaurant's like a huge selling point. People love live music. Listen, I grew up a fucking punk rock emo kid, Warped Tour kid. I love live music, but I don't really like, I don't know. If I'm at a restaurant, I don't really want some guy playing guitar. Like, it's different. If I go to like a jazz club or something, I want that. But if I'm just going out to the fucking Mexican restaurant, put on some background music. I don't really want this. But this guy is playing like a Spanish classical guitar, but he's hooked up to a PA. He's hooked up to a speaker, and then he's got a backing track. And he's basically just playing like, we don't fucking talk about Bruno and Hotel California. I'm like, why are you playing like Encanto Disney music and then like the Eagles at this fucking restaurant? Like, don't do that. Just play like some fucking old like mariachi music or something, so it feels like Mexico. And you're like, what are we doing here? And so like the music's way too fucking loud. The guy's really talented. He's a great guitarist. Seems like a super nice guy. I don't mean to disrespect him, but like, goddamn, immediate detractor. Also, just sucks hearing like Disney songs and in popular like radio songs while you're trying to eat in this highly themed, immersive Mayan pyramid looking restaurant. So that was immediately like oh, that's not great, but whatever. And then we get to the food. The food's all terrible. The food all just sucked. The dessert was like the best part of the meal, and it was just like painfully average churros you buy at the grocery store with a scoop of vanilla ice cream and some caramel sauce. It was like super fucking basic and just okay, but like everything else sucked. Everything sucked. The tacos sucked. The fajita sucked. The guacamole was meh. Everything sucked. The food was pretty much just so overpriced, so basic. And the server, like, bless her heart, the server we had, like, you could tell she was trying, but they were so understaffed. The service was so fucking slow. And it broke my heart because, you know, I could tell she was working hard. So, like, whatever. Like, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But, of course, to the restaurants, like, you're so understaffed. You got this dude fucking blaring guitar when he doesn't need to be here, blasting fucking the Eagles and the Doobie Brothers and fucking Encanto soundtrack. It's like, this is terrible. It was actually the worst dining experience I ever had at a Disney restaurant. And probably the first time I've ever left the restaurant Disney feeling like I wasted money and that experience was not worth it. Usually I'm at, like when I went to the Space Restaurant at Epcot, that place is so overpriced and their food's pretty mediocre. But the experience of dining there was so good that it was like, I'm glad I at least did it so I can say I'd been there. It was a fun experience. This restaurant wasn't even like that. It was like, I was so fucking glad to leave this restaurant when all was said and done. The food sucked. The service was slow. The guitar guy was annoying as hell. It was not a fun time. And so I just got to say, shout out to Maya Grill at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. One of the best hotels at all of Walt Disney World property. One of the most beautiful restaurants in all of Walt Disney World property. I recommend no one ever eat here. This restaurant fucking sucked. I hope that guitarist is able to get moved to a different gig where he has a much more accepting audience, because you could tell by looking around the restaurant. There was like a couple tables that were really into it, and then there was a couple tables that were like, like older people who were like, I can't hear you. What? Because like the guitar was so loud. And then like God bless her server's heart. She's probably fucking stressing out like crazy because they needed twice the staff they had there. So Maya Grill, you suck ass. But it's okay, because for the most part, dining at Disney, you'll hear people say shit like, don't go to this restaurant, it's not good, that's overrated. Everyone's full of shit. You're at Hollywood Studios, don't listen to the Disney bloggers and reviewers. They're full of dog shit. Mama Melrose is a great restaurant. You're at Epcot, don't listen to the fucking haters, okay? The Coral Reef restaurant is out of this world. It was featured in an episode of Full House back in the 90s, and for good reasons, because it's a great restaurant to this day. Fuck you, Maya Grill. You suck. You suck. You suck. Also, Mexican food, so hard to fuck up. It's so easy. How the fuck did you fuck it up? But they did. So that's it for what I've been eating. It's been a long time since we talked about Disney food on the podcast, so I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe we'll take a break from that for a while. Moving into what I've been playing, which is way more important because it's actually related to Xbox. So I wrapped up the Fallout TV show. It was great. This show gets better and better as it progresses. The ending is great. The final episode is great. I would say the last 3 episodes is really the best part of the show. But every episode's good. There are some parts about the first 2 episodes I feel like it's kind of slow starting. I don't know how I feel about this aspect or that aspect, but I generally liked it. And then the show just picks up and up and up and up, and it gets incredible. I love this show. I don't really want to talk about it in great detail because I'm not trying to spoil anything for anyone. But I highly recommend this show, and I am not immune to the effects the show's been having on society, because I too finished this TV show and immediately said, I gotta play some fucking Fallout. So I abandoned Diablo 4, like my father did, as soon as my mother said she was pregnant, and I hopped into Fallout 4 and I played the fuck out of this game this weekend. And I thought about deleting my save or just starting a new save because I haven't played this game in like 7 years or something. But I didn't do that because I feel like whatever. All I really did was some of the main quest line. Turns out I looked it up online to see like the list of quests, the main quests. I was on the last 2 quests of the game anyway for the main story. And so I just started dabbling a little bit with that, and then I just started doing a lot of side shit, and I just started immersing myself in the world. And I gotta say, I need to say this not as like a oh, I'm so into this game, it's so awesome, but as kind of a confession, because this is an embarrassing reality. And I had to say it because I know some people are going to interpret this a certain way, and I just have to be okay with that because it is what it is. But for so long, I was like, I want to like Fallout, I want to like Bethesda, I kind of want to see what's so special about Elder Scrolls, but I just couldn't get into it for the longest time. And this goes back to like 2008 when Fallout 3 came out. That's how far back this goes. I just couldn't get into these games. But there's something that happened, I think, starting in 2021, when I finally played Skyrim for the first time and really fell in love with it, where I just realized at some point in the past couple years of my life, I've just reached, this is probably just because I'm so drastically behind most people mentally, that, it takes me so long to pick up on why things are good, that it's, it just took me this long to really understand what's so special about these kinds of big open world Western style RPG games. I wasn't able to appreciate them for the longest time. Even when I wanted to like these games, I just couldn't. When Fallout 4 came out in 2015, I bought it right when it came out, and that was the closest I ever got to really getting into one of these games. But even by 2015, I still wasn't fully ready to appreciate these kinds of games. I was broadening my horizons, getting into more and more games I'd never played before. But for the most part, I'm such a fucking simple brain. I mean, think about it. My favorite games are like Sonic the Hedgehog and Halo 3. Like, clearly, I like games that are like, turn your brain off, press the shoot button, press the jump button, run, reach the goal, you win, good job. Like, I like such stupid, like, just dumb kind of games that are meant for people who have no mental capacity to interpret information and data and think critically. So it just took me a long time to really start to appreciate these kinds of games. But it started in 2021 when I finally played Skyrim for the first time, and I loved that game. And then that carried on when I kind of dabbled in Fallout 76 a little bit last year. And then that really exploded last year when Starfield came out, because I adore Starfield. That is the game. That is the version of this kind of genre that was made for me, because I love space sci-fi shit. And that game just really hit for me. And then it happened a lot recently when I played Wasteland 3, and that game finally clicked for me after it not working for me at all in 2020 when it first came out and I tried it. And now it's working with Fallout 4, a game that I played when it came out in November 2015, put about 4 hours into it, and I was like, meh. And then came back like a year or two later and put another like 5 hours into it and was like, it's better, but meh. And then I just walked away from it. But now, all of a sudden, like magic, just like it did with Skyrim, just like it did with Wasteland 3 and Starfield and with the Fallout TV show, I picked up Fallout 4 after 6-7 years of not playing it, and we're just instantly, I'm just like, I understand everything that makes this game special. I love this game. Fallout 4 is awesome. I'm so sucked into it. All the same reasons as the other games. The world building, the just how easy it is to get sucked into this world and these stories, and to just be like, because I like a lot of beelining games. I want to get straight to the point. Get me straight to the main quest. I don't give a shit about the guy in the distance who's like, hey, stranger, I lost my frog. Can you help me find my... Nah, fuck you. Kill your frog. I don't care. But it's these games. It's this style of game where I'm just suddenly like, yeah, the main quest is right there, but I don't know. I'm going to go into that cave and explore. Or like, oh, this guy's trying to like get my attention. Let's see what he wants. And then just kind of going down the rabbit hole and having fun with it. Like, I just picked this thing up on Saturday. I was watching some hockey playoffs, pick up my Logitech G Cloud, and just immediately I'm down the fucking rabbit hole. This guy is like, I need you to do this quest. I can't tell you what it's about. And we're infiltrating the back end of this like, I don't know what it was, this kind of restaurant, storefront, whatever, donut shop place. And we're doing this thing, and I'm learning all this random crap that has nothing to do with the main quest. And I'm sucked in. I'm like, this is fun. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of this side content, banter, bullshit, nonsense. I just want all of it. I'm doing side quests. I'm listening to my radio. I'm exploring the wasteland. I'm trying to find new weapons. I'm trying to do all the shit. I'm just trying to explore and live out my little fantasy in the wasteland. And normally in open world games, I go stir crazy trying to do anything other than just the main quest line. And then, I hit the main quest, finish it, roll credits, bounce. I'm out. Next game. But right now I'm dicking around in Fallout 4 just like I did in Starfield, just like I did a little bit in Skyrim, just like I did in Wasteland, and I'm just enjoying my time, slowly exploring the world, looking around, reading shit, immersing myself deeper in the world, doing some side quests, and it's great. It's great just in the way these other games are great. Holy shit, I wish I could jump in this game because Starfield spoiled me. I want to be able to jump. Why can you not jump in Fallout 4? Oh, you can't. Wait, never mind. I just looked this up. I was like, wait, am I stupid? Can you jump? Apparently there's a bug where you can't jump sometimes, but you should be able to jump. Huh. All right, never mind. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Anyway, I don't really have much to say about it. I'm just kind of like turning stones and walking around and exploring shit. And I'm having a great time doing it. This is a great game to stream to Logitech G Cloud. It is a great game to just sit down on the couch early on a Saturday morning, brew a cup of coffee, play your Xbox Series X, enjoying this new update. The game running 60 FPS. Buttery smooth, looks great. Obviously, it's a game made in 2015, so it doesn't look as great as I don't know, it doesn't look as good as Horizon Forbidden West, but who gives a shit? It's fun. I'm loving it. So Fallout 4 is the game I've been playing. It is most definitely the game I plan on playing this week, especially I'm excited for this week because I have like no plans. So I really want to play some Fallout 4. And yeah, I'm just fucking loving it, man. I'm in the Fallout craze just like the rest of you guys, and I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I'm a little pissed off though because there's like 5 other games I was trying to get to before Hellblade 2 came out, but we're about 3 weeks away from Hellblade 2 at this point, so it is what it is. Who cares? Just enjoy, just whatever. Play whatever, enjoy it while it's there. But that's it for what I've been eating. That's it for what I've been playing. That's it for the opening segments of the news. Guys, let's take a quick break. Come right back and we'll talk about the major news topics of the week. All right, so let's get into the main news. You thought, wow, what a spicy first half of the show. Oh, you've seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing because, guys, let's start with the good stuff. So, Xbox Game Showcase. Yes, it's that time of year. It's May 1st right now, which means we are 1 month away from Xbox's next big annual summer showcase. And this week they announced the details, the dates, the times, and all that. So from Xbox Wire, they say, mark your calendars. The Xbox Game Showcase will be live streamed on June 9th, 2024, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Like our double feature last year with the Starfield Direct immediately following the showcase, we'll be airing a special deep dive into the next installment of a beloved franchise. Okay, so this is a new entry in a series that already exists, not a new IP, okay? We can't say much. So far, we'll call it the Xbox Game Showcase, followed by Redacted Direct. And it's all like blacked out on their website. And then if you highlighted it or copied and pasted, you could see the blackout said redacted in all caps, accompanying this image of what looks like like this wolf image or whatever. It's Black Ops. It's clearly the next Call of Duty. People are like, oh, I think it's the next Call of Duty. It's the rumors suggest it's the next Call of Duty. So we're not even gonna get into the image and what all it means and everything. Anyway, this will also be our first showcase featuring games from our portfolio across our studios from Activision, Blizzard, along with Bethesda and Xbox Game Studios, in addition to titles from our third-party partners. June 9th's double feature broadcast will also kick off a week worth of coverage here on Xbox Wire, the official Xbox podcast, featuring updates and deep dives, blah, blah, blah. All right, so we'll continue on with some additional announcements and teases, but let's just stop for a second and talk about this. Okay, Summer Showcase, it's always like the first or second Sunday in June, so this is following the tradition. Very exciting, obviously. There's a lot to look forward to. We know that going forward, we're kind of in that sweet spot where we're going to start getting a lot more of a heavy flow, if you will, of Xbox first-party content. This year's already shaping up to be a great year with Avowed, Indiana Jones, Ara, History Untold, and of course Hellblade 2 and all that stuff. And then now we got this showcase where, as recent history has dictated, we'll kind of overview what we can expect over the next 12 to 18 months or so. So I would expect this showcase to be heavily focused on a little bit of what we're getting this year, of course. We'll probably see another look at Indiana Jones and stuff. We'll get a lot of information about the new Call of Duty Black Ops game, but we'll also probably get a lot of information as to what we can expect in 2025. And that's the thing I'm really excited about, because after Hellblade, which, by the way, can I just say I'm so excited to get Hellblade off the map. Not because Hellblade doesn't look good or I don't think Hellblade will be good, but because Hellblade is one of those like crutch games they keep falling on every showcase. Like, oh, it's Hellblade. Aren't you excited about it? Without Hellblade in the mix now, it's going to be like, all right, where are your fucking games, okay? Where's Perfect Dark? Where's State of Decay 3? What the hell is the Coalition working on? So now it's like, there's more, what the hell happened to Contraband? What is that? So I'm really excited about this showcase because this is where we're going to start to have a focus on what comes after the stuff we already knew. And in this case, 2025, it seems like it's going to be quite promising. But also, this is probably going to be the best. This sounds so PR-like, but this is going to be, in my opinion, I'd be shocked if it's not the best Xbox showcase, if not in a very long time, probably in forever. And not because the number of games they will show, but because now that they have Activision and Blizzard and all this shit, it's like their portfolio of teams is so big now that it's just statistically so difficult for them to not have a shit ton of compelling games that are coming out in the very near future, because they just have so many teams working on so many projects that they're just the numbers just point to they have to have a lot of good shit coming over the next year or so. So I'm very excited from that standpoint, because there's just so much. Xbox has so many teams now. Clearly this image they show is the next Call of Duty. But so there are rumors, if you look at the other Blackout logo here that they show in the little teaser image with the pictures of the wolves and stuff on it, there's space for the Blackout to say Call of Duty Black Ops 5, but there's no space for it to have the name we've been getting, the name we keep seeing spin around, which is or circulate, which is Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War. So it's like, I don't know. Are they going to call it Black Ops 5 and then Call of Duty fans get all up and outraged about, like, well, I don't understand. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 takes place before Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and then you call the fifth entry Black Ops Cold War, and you didn't give it a number, but it takes place after Black Ops 1, before Black Ops 2, and then you make another game that takes place after Black Ops Cold War, but it's called Call of Duty 5, but it's technically the sixth Black Ops game. It's like, I don't give a shit if they call it Call of Duty Black Ops Super Soft Baby Wipes, Wipe Your Butthole Edition. I don't care what they fucking call it. I just want more Black Ops because those are the Call of Duty games that are pretty much guaranteed to be fun. And I love Treyarch Call of Duty games, and I love Treyarch Zombies. And so I'm very much looking forward to this game. Also because this is going to be our first Call of Duty that is a day one Game Pass game and everything. And if for whatever reason it's not a day one Game Pass game, that's going to be a super spicy moment as well when we find out, what the fuck, Call of Duty's not going in Game Pass? Although I'd be shocked if this isn't going to be a day one Game Pass game. I'm just excited about it. It's going to be fucking cool. Also, this is just different because Call of Duty is always released, at least in recent history, around August, September, when Activision does a little in Warzone kind of reveal event. So this is going to be a pretty early reveal for a Call of Duty game. Of course, back in the day, during the heyday of Call of Duty, you'd always get your annual reveal around May or so. So this is kind of more like the classic reveal style, but it's just, I don't know, it's just exciting, man. Like it's gonna be interesting to see what an Xbox showcase looks like when they're treating Activision Blizzard content like their own games, and when they're, they got more Bethesda stuff to talk about and all that on top of all the Xbox Game Studios games. So I'm very much looking forward to this. But that's not all, because if Black Ops 5 or Black Ops Gulf War, whatever the hell it's called, isn't enough to get you excited, I got something that will certainly get you excited. And if this doesn't get you excited, you are subhuman stupid trash, because Gears of War is all but confirmed for this showcase. That's right. From a VGC write-up, according to the actor who plays JD Phoenix in the Gears of War franchise, he has teased that there are plans for a new series entry to be revealed at the June showcase event. In a post on Twitter last week, JD Phoenix actor Liam McIntyre also appeared to imply that we'll hear about the follow-up to a Gears 5 at this Xbox showcase. He responded to a question regarding how I had to rewrite this because I don't want to put any spoilers in. He responded to a question regarding how a massive spoiler from the end of Gears 5 will affect the next entry in the series. McIntyre responded by saying, "I have no idea. I think Gears of War will tell us, though, in June." Put a little smiley face at the end of it. So basically, someone's saying, "Oh, that thing that happened at the end of Gears 5, how's that going to affect the next game?" And he goes, "Well, they're about to reveal Gears 6 in June." That's basically what that means. If it means something else, I'm sorry I misled you, but I don't see how this could be interpreted as anything other than Gears 6 is getting revealed and shown at this Xbox showcase. Now, we know the Coalition was working on a new IP. That new IP got shelved about a year or two ago, and then they kind of shifted focus to Gears 6. I'm sure there was some small team doing some pre-production, rough draft idea of what Gears 6 would be, but my understanding of it, not that I know, but my understanding from what we've gotten over the years from insiders and leaks and little tidbit information from people like, I don't know, like Jez Corden and people like that, has been that this game's pretty early in production and probably isn't coming out anytime too soon. Jeff Gertzman, whatever, these kinds of people always drop these little nuggets. So my expectation is that this is going to be a CGI reveal trailer, the kinds of reveals that I hate more than anything. It's going to be a trailer where it's like, it's going to be playing it's going to be playing some freaking Sarah McLachlan song, and then it's going to have Marcus Phoenix, he's going to be crying, and then it's going to show like some guy freaking falling off a cliff and rainfall, and there's going to be a thunderstorm, and then it's going to show Kate Diaz, and then it's going to go, why'd you have to go this way? And she's going to say, this will not be the last time we Gears of War. And then it's just going to have a splash screen. It's going to show the little COG logo. It's going to go, the little fucking, the little note, the little Gears of War sound. And then it's going to show Gears 6. And then it's going to say now in development, or it's going to say 2026. And then the game will actually come out in 2028. I don't know. I'm expecting something of that, along those lines, of that ilk. But the confirmation of Gears 6, even though we know it's a game that's coming out, but by confirming it, showing a trailer, just saying like, hey, we know you're wondering. We know you're asking where's Gears. We got it. It's on the way. Don't worry. That is so exciting, because in recent years, Xbox, for how exciting it's been with we bought Activision, we bought Bethesda, Starfield. As exciting as all of that's been, one of my big gripes with Xbox the past couple years is that, or maybe this generation really as a whole, is that there's been so much emphasis and focus on restructuring the brand and Game Pass, and we bought Bethesda and we bought Activision. That's like, and Halo Infinite with its kind of failures out the gate in 2021 and then kind of being swept under the rug and ignored after that. I would say Xbox hasn't felt like Xbox this generation, because the emphasis and the focus and attention have been on just so many things that are not intrinsically Xbox. It's like, oh, what's going to happen to Xbox hardware? When's Redfall going to get an update? It's like, all right, Remember when Xbox was all Gears, Halo, and Forza? It's like, let's go back to that headspace just a little bit, just for familiarity's sake. And so, I don't know. I feel like a reveal for Gears of War 6 will be such a warm and welcomed update, because even if you don't have in-depth gameplay and a specific release date to share with us on June 9th, I think just having Gears at the showcase will be a really warm and welcome and much needed reminder to the longtime Xbox fans that somewhere underneath the $69 billion deal and the fact that there's no more financial sense to be made of Xbox hardware because of how bad it's doing, and the fact that Xbox games are coming to PlayStation, all these things that just don't make sense and feel uncomfortable and weird and new and different and scary. Hey, there's Marcus Phoenix. That makes me happy again. That reminds me of the Xbox 360. That reminds me of Breaking Benjamin. That reminds me of 2007. Oh, I think I'm going to fucking drive a 2008 Ford fucking Escape and hit up the Burger King drive-thru back when they were open till 2 a.m. and they used to advertise their late-night menu. And, oh, man, remember Creed? Don't you remember post-grunge music? I don't know. I just want to feel I want to feel fuzzy again. So hit me with the Gears 6 trailer, even if it's CG, even if you give me some bullshit made up, totally a lie kind of release window like 2026. Just tell me something. Make me feel alive again. And so I'm looking forward to that. I won't spoil what happened at the end of Gears 5 because even though it's frustrating, it's a little annoying, and I don't love the way it ended. It's a great game, and it's totally worth playing. And just because the last minutes of the game are a little underwhelming doesn't mean the other 98% of the game isn't phenomenal. And so, if you haven't played Gears 5, do yourself a favor, play Gears 5. All right, but that's not all. That's not everything, guys, because there's even a little more. Because actually, this is a VGC write-up, but some reporting from Tom Warren in The Verge says that this showcase, and maybe this is a little obvious, but worth a reading anyway, that a big objective of this showcase is to target launch months and dates for Xbox's first-party 2024 games. June's showcase, which is going to focus on these kinds of games, according to news from Tom Warren and The Verge and people like that, we now know that apparently Xbox's month windows kind of for these 2024 games have somewhat been revealed, and we expect to see these confirmed at the June 9th event. So Bethesda is said or rumored to be targeting a September release for Starfield's Shattered Space expansion, which was recently given a fall launch window. That would make sense. That would be about the 1-year anniversary of the game's launch. Activision is reportedly planning a late October release for Call of Duty Black Ops whatever, and then Avowed and Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 are likely to arrive in November, and that would leave December as the time slot for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to follow. I mean, dude, think about that. September, you get all this Starfield content to play, a huge reason to jump back into that massive game and enjoy more shit. And then a month later, brand new Call of Duty game, but it's not just any Call of Duty game, it's a Black Ops game, so you got awesome arcadey combat in the multiplayer space, none of that bullshit tactical crap you get from the Infinity Ward games, and then you get freaking awesome zombies mode and all that to dick around with just in time for Halloween. Thank you, God. Call of Duty should always release before Halloween if it's going to be a Black Ops game, because the worst thing about Black Ops Cold War, it released like a week after Halloween, which was bullshit because that game had really excellent zombies, and so it is a crying shame if you release a great zombies mode 9 days after fucking Halloween. What are you doing? What are you doing? So this is great news. We'll be able to play some new zombies right in time for the Halloween season. And then Avowed in November. That's a perfect little 2-month break between a big RPG like Starfield, and then you get into Avowed, which is, I mean, Avowed is still my most anticipated game of the year. I cannot wait for that game. If I enjoy it to even remotely as much as I've enjoyed Fallout 4 and Starfield and Wasteland 3, I mean, I'm just in for a freaking treat with Avowed. I really can't wait for that game. And then Microsoft Flight Simulator in the same month. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to play that game, so I'm not going to act like I care. And then a month after Avowed, you get a nice palate cleanser with something like Indiana Jones, something that's far more linear, a lot more cinematic based, something that's more like an Uncharted and less like a open world, make your own RPG story happen. So such a great yin and yang with Avowed and then Indiana Jones the next month. That sounds like a killer fall lineup for Xbox. I mean, listen, you guys can keep not buying Xboxes. You guys can keep buying Xbox games on PlayStation. You can keep making the future of Xbox hardware scary and uncertain and doing all the things that make me want to cry at night. But in the meantime, while we still got the Xbox we've always had, this fall sounds freaking awesome. And if you're playing freaking, what's PlayStation got this year? Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, the movie, the video game, directed by Peter Jackson, you're a fucking idiot because Avowed in Indiana Jones. Okay. Oh, shit, I gotta stop for a second and also mention, I meant to put out, I memed my 7 Twitter followers this week, by the way, because I took a picture of a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller and said, I'm an Xbox defector. I meant to mention this during the games I've been playing. I did acquire a DualSense controller. I did not acquire PS5. So I'm still playing all my PlayStation games on PC. I bought a DualSense so that when I play PlayStation games on PC, it feels more natural. And I gotta say, just as a side note, total fucking tangent that doesn't need to be here. I've used the DualSense a couple times. I used it at Cronky's place. I've picked it up and played it at other friends' houses and things like that. And I've had the opportunity to use the DualSense a couple of times, but there's a difference between trying it out for 2 seconds at someone's house versus like sitting down and using it in your own home. DualSense feels way better in the hands than I remember it. It's a really good feeling controller. The analog sticks, PlayStation's analog sticks, still suck ass. Off axis is absolutely the way to go. First person shooters were not meant for PlayStation. But I gotta say, playing Helldivers on my PC with the DualSense controller, the haptics in this controller are so fucking fun. As someone who is a huge Wii lover, a huge Xbox Kinect version 2 lover, a huge fan of like gimmicky motion control, kind of weird input shit, I gotta say, the haptics in the PS5 controller are so good, and I really, really hope at this June showcase we get confirmation of that new Xbox controller that basically apes the features of this controller, because I really want that haptic technology in an Xbox gamepad so bad. And I gotta say, shout out to the DualSense. It might have shit battery life, it might have terrible analog stick positioning, but it feels great in the hands. And the haptics are fucking awesome. So shout out to PlayStation for that. I really do love the DualSense. I don't know if it's my favorite PlayStation controller because I haven't used it enough to get an emotional attachment to it. I grew up on PS1 and PS2, so whatever. The DualShock was basically the same controller for like 20 years. But I don't know. I guess the DualShock 4 on PS4 was pretty great. It's a pretty great improvement. I will say the DualShock 4 and the DualSense, so PS4 and PS5. Those controllers look hideous compared to the old PlayStation. Like the PS2, PS3 controller, that old DualShock, such an iconic looking controller. It's like a next gen SNES gamepad. It's so iconic looking. The DualSense, it feels great in the hands. It's a great gamepad to play with. It's truly a pretty fucking solid controller. It is such an ugly looking motherfucker. Although I will say that I think the Xbox Series X controller takes the Xbox One controller and makes it go from being a beautiful controller to being a slightly ugly controller. So I don't think any of them particularly look great. That being said, who gives a shit what your controller looks like? Why are we talking about this? I just wanted to throw that out there. So unfortunately I didn't get a PS5. I still plan on just playing PlayStation games on PC, but I did get a DualSense, and man, it's fun to play with. I like it a lot. Anyway, back to this Xbox showcase that we were supposed to be talking about. So this is great. We're going to get firm dates for this fall's Xbox games. Hopefully nothing really slips out of this target launch window, because if they can hit all these months, all these release dates the way they're planning on, 2024, I know it's not going to do anything. Xbox could release a fucking cure for cancer only available on Xbox, and the hardware would still sell like ass. I get it. It's very much evident to me at this point. But, 2024 is going to be a stacked, excellent fucking year for Xbox if they're able to hit all these release dates. And as someone who does own an Xbox and is committed to this platform, I'm personally looking very much forward to this second half of 2024, because it's a great year for Xbox owners. So shout out to that. Gear 6, I'm fucking ready for you. Let's make it happen. And this showcase, dude, Avowed, new Call of Duty Black Ops, new Gears of War, Indiana Jones, new Starfield content. What the fuck? I don't know what people want. Let's just get into the next story, because I got nothing else to say about this. But the next story is going to kind of get into what I'm beating around the bush with here, which is like, what the fuck do we even do at this point? Xbox. Listen, I'm not trying to be I'm not like some like rage bait, clickbait fuckboy. Like I'm trying to be honest. I don't see how Xbox hardware survives beyond maybe one more generation. I don't see it happening. What the fuck is happening? So let's get into this financial quarterly results. So shortly after last week's podcast, Microsoft had their new their third quarter earnings report. And on the surface, it looks like Xbox is doing really, really great, because this is the first quarter where it's like, hey, we own Activision and look how much money we make because we have Activision. Actually, I think that's the second time that's happened. But it's not all, it's really not all rainbows and it's not all rainbows and butterflies. It is compromise and whatever the fuck he says in that Maroon 5 song that I keep referencing all the time. But let me just read this real quick. So we got a couple things I stitched together here from VGC. Activision Blizzard helped drive Microsoft's gaming division to a record third quarter despite significant decline in Xbox hardware. For the 3 months that ended March 31st, 2024, gaming revenue was up 51% year over year, including 55 points of net impact from Activision to a record $5.45 billion in revenue. So let's just keep this in mind. They bought Activision for $69 billion. Xbox brought in basically $5.5 billion in revenue this past quarter, these past 3 months. So, of course, revenue is not profit. So you have to subtract all the operating expenses to figure out what the net income is after, to figure out, minus the revenue and everything. But $5.5 billion fucking dollars in 3 months is what the Xbox division brought in. That's why you bought Activision. That's a lot of fucking money. So to keep things in mind, this is not, oh, we sold a lot of Xboxes. This is not, people really like the new seasonal content in Halo Infinite. No. This is not, Starfield was a huge success for us last fall, and it's still selling like crack. No, unfortunately, it's none of those things. Even though I love Halo, even though I love Starfield, even though I love Xbox hardware, it's none of those things. This is, people really want to shoot Nicki Minaj in the latest season of Call of Duty Warzone Season 3 Reloaded. That's what this is, unfortunately. This is, people keep buying season passes for Diablo. People keep jerking off to the monkey character in Overwatch 2. People keep playing Call of Duty and buying all the fucking hip-hop artists that we make skins, and then the Amazon TV show characters like the superhero from The Boys. That's what this is. People really like the Godzilla King Kong crossover we did in Warzone. That's what this fucking is. You can't blame Microsoft for why they were financially incentivized to go this route, because it's like, yeah, I get it. $5.5 fucking billion. This is why Satya Nadella is forcing you to put your games on PlayStation, because when you are this big a part of Microsoft's makeup, when you spend this kind of money acquiring Activision, when you make this kind of revenue, when you own properties and publishers and video games that are capable of drawing this kind of revenue, your CEO has no choice but to intervene and go, okay, how can we keep this gravy train going? I don't give a shit about Starfield. I don't give a shit about Halo. I don't give a shit about your little fucking Series S that could. Get these fucking Call of Duty things all over the PlayStation. Get your other games, put them on PlayStation 2. Let's make some fucking money here, okay? Because even though this is great, $5.5 billion, wow, up 51% year over year, wow. A 55-point net impact from Activision, whatever the fuck that means. It's really, really bad, because it says Xbox content and services grew 62%, a 61% net impact. But Xbox hardware revenue declined 31% year over year. Listen, we've seen Xbox hardware decline 4%, 6%, 8%, 10%. 31%? We're like 3.5 years into the life cycle of the Series S and X. Not to mention the Series X is like a $250 to $300 machine depending on when you buy it. Not to mention you can get a Series X on sale sometimes for $350. Not to mention that's way cheaper than a PS5. Not to mention if you buy a Series S and subscribe to Game Pass, you have access to way more games at a way lower entry point, and you get 99% of what's on PlayStation minus like fucking The Last of Us remake. But this goes to show you how fucked Xbox is. It doesn't matter. It's not even about the first party games. You can't even tell me that anymore. Yeah, God of War's great. Yeah, Spider-Man's great. Yeah, the 75 remakes of The Last of Us Part 1 are great. But the majority of games people are playing are games that are available on Xbox and PlayStation and PC. It's just a matter of who got the market first, where people built their library of games, where people play with their friends, where people have their friends lists and are familiar with the ecosystem and are familiar with their login and are familiar with how achievements or trophies work and the menus and everything. I've been playing here for a while. I'm going to stick with this. PlayStation gobbled them all up during the PS4 generation. And like I said, Xbox could make the fucking cure for cancer exclusive on Xbox, and it wouldn't matter. You'd have stage 4 cancer patients flocking to PlayStation 5 at this point. It doesn't matter. It's just there's nothing you can do. 31% year-over-year decline There's more to this story to read, by the way, and we'll get into it, but I have to stop here because if you're an Xbox fan like me, I don't know, whatever. Satya Nadella has some quotes. He talks about World of Warcraft. He talks about Activision. I don't give a shit about any of that. Xbox hardware is down 31% 3.5 years into the current generation, while PlayStation 5 is on target to outpace PS4 to hit 50 million units sold. I think they're already at 50 million units sold on PS5 hardware, which is, mind you, available at the lowest price at $400, $150 more than a Series S normally is. It's game over, man. It's fucking game over. And like I said, when Xbox first announced that they're officially putting games on PlayStation, it's too bad because what Xbox really needed was they needed a 12 to 18 month period where all Xbox games were exclusive to Xbox. We're not putting the shit on PlayStation. Don't get thoughts in your head. Don't get any ideas. But if you buy an Xbox, if you subscribe to Game Pass, boom, Starfield. A few months later, boom, Forza. A few months later, boom, Avowed. Boom, Hellblade. Indiana Jones, a new Call of Duty that's in Game Pass, even though you can buy it for $70 on PlayStation. It's in Game Pass if you have Xbox. Get a 12 to 18 month period where that is the narrative over on Team Xbox, and maybe that can draw some attention away from PlayStation over to Xbox. Maybe. If that doesn't work, fuck it. It's over. Just put all your games on PlayStation, be done with it already. But Satya Nadella jumped the gun way too soon in the middle of this momentum they had after Starfield, before this onslaught of games we're about to have, and said, nah, fuck it, just start throwing the shit on PlayStation. And I gotta be honest with you, man, it's no coincidence that Xbox revenue fell 31% year over year in the same 3-month period where the main story surrounding Xbox was, hey, for the first time, Xbox games are coming to PlayStation. Hey, don't worry about buying an Xbox. All these games will be on PlayStation sooner rather than later. Hey, did you guys know Sea of Thieves is busting open pre-order numbers over on the PlayStation ecosystem? People are just so eager to get their hands on Xbox content on this platform. Yeah, so it's no fucking coincidence that during the same 3 months where that was the conversation about Xbox, hardware nosedived to 31% decline year over year. Fucking shocker. You give your whole entire audience no fucking reason to believe in your hardware, no fucking reason to believe in your vision, the things you've been telling us for 7 years, Phil Spencer, that I know you don't control all this. I know there are other people telling you what you got to do at some point. I know when you control Activision, people higher up the ladder get involved and start telling you what needs to happen. But man, oh man, you fucked Xbox hardware. You cannot convince me Xbox hardware isn't fucked. Listen, Sarah Bond is clearly someone they're very invested in, and they appointed her to be the head of hardware, and she is out there left and right bragging and talking about how we got the most powerful Xbox ever made, blah, blah, blah. Same shit as last time. It's coming out. We're working on a new one. All but confirmed new Xbox handheld hardware that's on the way. I'm excited for all of it. I'll be there day one. I'll buy all of that shit. Don't worry about that. But I will be shocked if after that new 27 teraflop Xbox Series Y and after the new Xbox Portable comes out, if we ever get any more Xbox hardware. Or I should say, if we ever get another proper generation of Xbox consoles. I'll be shocked. Maybe they have some boutique Xbox Steam Deck type device that lives on in perpetuity as Xbox transitions more and more to just being a giant third-party publisher and being a streaming partner, and Game Pass is this subscription service you can subscribe to, and maybe they even get on PlayStation one day. I don't know. But you cannot tell me that Xbox is going to exist as a hardware platform in the same capacity that's existed in for over 20 years after this next wave of hardware. It makes no sense. Microsoft couldn't stick it out for a couple more years with Windows Phone to figure out how to make it work. If Xbox couldn't do that, if Microsoft couldn't commit to mobile phones, a market that is way more lucrative, way more important, has way more potential than video games, to a tech company, if Microsoft couldn't commit for just a little longer on something like Windows Phone, I have no faith that they're going to continue to invest in and to support Xbox console hardware, traditional generational Xbox consoles. Because this shit is nosediving like crazy, and you want to know what else is going to fucking destroy Xbox sales? In 4 or 5 months when we get another wave of Xbox games coming to PlayStation. Because the fact that they announced 4 or 5 games and they all came out on PlayStation within like 75 minutes of Xbox making that announcement tells me that they got a lot more games coming in the very near future. So, man, oh man, like it sucks. I'm excited about this new showcase. I'm excited about Gear 6. I'm excited about all the new games they have. And I will continue to be an Xbox supporter as long as I'm allowed to be. As long as Microsoft will have me, I will continue to subscribe to Game Pass and buy your consoles and buy your handhelds or whatever you make. But man, oh man, 31% decrease in this quarter. I know there's a little bit of a drought right now. We're in a little bit of a lull period with news being a little light. I mean, game releases are still pretty steady, but we don't have any like water cooler games coming out right now. But like, I don't know. Unless PlayStation is about to report like a 20% decline year over year in PlayStation 5 hardware, this is something very unique just to Xbox, and you cannot convince me the brand isn't totally fucked as a hardware manufacturer. I don't think Xbox is, let me be clear, I don't think Xbox is completely fucked. I think Xbox will be fine as a brand. It will live on. It will be a thing you can stream from your Roku, Samsung, iPhone, Android, if they can ever agree to get it on their PlayStation device. It will be that. Like Phil Spencer said, every screen will be an Xbox. But if you're thinking about Xbox in the traditional sense, if you're starry-eyed and nostalgic for the Xbox 360 era, like most Xbox fans are, that era of Xbox, well, it's been dead for a little while, but we're trying to get as far as we can from that, and that's clearly where we're headed. Let me continue on with the story with these quotes and stuff. So, Microsoft completed their acquisition of Activision back in October, taking ownership of franchises like COD, Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, etc., which have a huge impact on their quarter. During Microsoft's earnings call, CEO Satya Nadella highlighted the impact of Activision Blizzard games, which helped the company, quote, set third quarter records for games streaming hours, console usage, and monthly active devices. Diablo 4 became the first Activision Blizzard game to be added to Game Pass back on March 28th. And according to Nadella, members played over 10 million hours with their first 10 days. Fuck that shit. I'm so tired of those statistics. For a while, it was like, whatever, it's cute, I can ignore it. Fuck that shit. Hardware sales are down 31% year over year, and you're bragging about 10,000 hours of Diablo 4 was played by Game Pass. Fuck that shit. I don't care. I don't care how many digital turds were taken by players of Farm Simulator 24 through Game Pass subscription on PC and console combined. I don't care about any of it. He continued and said, we've also been encouraged by ongoing success of COD Modern Warfare 3, which is attracting new gamers and retaining franchise loyalists. I don't know how. People actually really like the multiplayer for that game. For as much as the campaign sucks ass, it seems like the game is satisfying fans with its multiplayer support. Good for them. That game made me fall off hard on Call of Duty. I'll come back when Black Ops comes out again. But good for them. Modern Warfare 3 is doing well. Nadella also suggests that Xbox is starting to reap the rewards of its increased multi-platform support. Here's the kicker. Noting that at one point this month, it had 7 games among the top 25 sellers on the PlayStation Store, which was more than any other publisher. So this is Microsoft's CEO bragging about how they have more games on the top 25 best sellers on the PlayStation Store than any other publisher on the PlayStation Store. This is Xbox bragging about having more top-selling games on their number one competitor's platform. Man, investors are going to see that shit and just go, well, that means we need more Xbox games on PlayStation. Yeah, it sure fucking does. I get it. You're an investor. You want to see the returns. That's all you give a shit about is the money. I get it. The only way to make it happen is to give up on the fucking hardware and put more Halo games on PlayStation, I guess. So Microsoft also suggests that Xbox is starting to I accidentally had that twice. So expounding off of those quotes, Tweaktown does a little digging, the website Tweaktown. So he talks about the 7 games on PlayStation, best-selling, whatever. For reference, Tweaktown in their write-up puts the following data. Keep in mind, on this data changes daily. On PlayStation 5 on April 18th, these top best-selling games or pre-order games that Microsoft is referring to are Modern Warfare 3, Overwatch 2, so 2 Activision games, then Sea of Thieves, which of course is something they just put on there, then Fallout 4, which is of course something they acquired through Bethesda, and then Minecraft, which has been there forever, and then Fallout 76, which is of course from Bethesda. So technically the only games that Microsoft just put on there that are actively participating in this are Sea of Thieves and Grounded, because everything else has been on PlayStation forever, but has recently been acquired by Microsoft. But I mean, man, You think this is bad? I mean, it's only going to get worse from here, man. He says, we're committed to meeting players. This is such as wrap-up comment. He says, we are committed to meeting players where they are by bringing great games to more people on more devices. Where have we heard that said before? Phil Spencer. That's Nadella's comment, which Phil Spencer has said almost verbatim in the past. And it's clearly the marketing MO Microsoft has for the gaming initiative going forward. More players, more screens, more consoles, more platforms, more devices. Xbox is a service. Xbox is not a home console anymore, or at least not just a home console. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be all naysaying, doomsday-like. To the Xbox fans who really think like the Xbox hardware will always exist in the way we've always had it, man, I wish I could drink whatever you're drinking. I wish I could believe whatever it is you believe, or be that naive. It just makes no business sense. I'm not saying Xbox hardware is going away tomorrow, but I'm saying its days are clearly numbered. And yes, maybe this sounds pedantic because if you scroll down the timeline far enough, with where technology is headed, with where streaming's getting, with where these game publishers and developers are headed with everything, it probably stands to reason that that's everyone's end goal, right? Is to become streaming, a service, a platform. Why would PlayStation want to keep making hardware, which is super expensive to R&D, manufacture, ship, and sell, when they could just make same money, if not more, by selling you just games locked on an ecosystem, subscription services, and various things like that. So obviously that is where everyone's headed eventually, right? But that end is nowhere in sight for PlayStation, and it's certainly nowhere in sight for Nintendo. It is very much in sight for Xbox. That's the problem. Is it's hard to not be able to plainly see that what Satya Nadella and the leadership at Microsoft have done here is drastically accelerated the timeline where Xbox ends up being just a publisher, a service, a platform for streaming and subscribing to games and services, and there is no hardware, there is no console. Maybe the Xbox controller lives on because it is the best controller on the market and has been for like 20 years at this point. Yeah, maybe, hopefully. But the console is going away. So fucking obvious. So, all right, no need to keep dwelling on it and harping on it. It is what it is. But I mean, I just don't know how you look at this any other way. Not trying to be the most pessimistic person. I'm just trying to look at this data and follow it to its logical, rational conclusion. Baby, bring back the Zune, please, for the love of God. All right. That's the big story this week. We talked about the decline in Xbox hardware. We talked about the showcase, which is very exciting. I'm very excited for that showcase. For the immediate future, I am very excited about Xbox. I'm very excited about the games coming out this year, the games coming out next year, and then I guess the year after that, we'll probably have a bunch of good games and some new hardware. So to try and keep it optimistic and positive, because at the end of the day, this podcast is a celebration of our shared love of Xbox, while also trying to keep it real and talk about the news at hand. The good news is the 2024, 2025, and 2026. I have a feeling that all three of these years are great years for Xbox. Avowed, Hellblade, Indiana Jones. Next year, let's just make some shit up. Yet another Call of Duty game, maybe State of Decay 3, I doubt it. Maybe South of Midnight, probably. Maybe Perfect Dark. I don't know. Tons of new games. That much is clear. And then the year after that, new Xbox console. It seems like that's where we're headed. So I'm very much excited for what the next couple of years have in store for Xbox. I'll keep enjoying the games. I still love the controller, still love the ecosystem, still love the user experience, the achievement system, the catalog of games, and the profile I've worked on and built out and accumulated over the many years since the Xbox 360 days, and I will continue to love it for as long as Xbox will allow me to. So, yep. It's going to be a pretty good next couple of years as far as what we've received to play and interact with. I just don't know that the news will be as spirited, I guess. All right, a little wrap-up story here, just a little, early month update for Game Pass. So a couple new games coming and leaving the service. So available now, Have a Nice Death and Tomb Raider Definitive Edition on Cloud Console and PC as of the time this podcast has gone live. So Tomb Raider Definitive Edition is coming back to Game Pass in this case. And then coming soon on May 7th, Kona 2 Broom comes to cloud console and PC. I'm really excited about this next one. On May 9th, this is a day one Game Pass game. Little Kitty Big City comes to cloud console and PC. This game's been on Switch for a little while. I'm very excited to give this game a try. It looks very cute, very fun. A little kitty mischief game. And then Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons comes, I think, back to Game Pass on May 14th, cloud console and PC. On May 15th, however, the following games are leaving the service, so make sure you give them a try or buy them now while they're still here, whatever. Eastern Exorcist, Ayuden Chronicles Rising, Fuga, Melodies of Steel 2, Ghost Lore, Just Cause 4 Reloaded, Norco, SD Gundam Battle Alliance, I keep trying to get into that game, and Supraland, Supraland 6 Inches Under. So those are all leaving Game Pass mid-month on May 15th, so make sure you try them while you still can. Guys, that's it for all of our major news. Let's move into the important enough news. Stories important enough to make the podcast, not important enough to warrant their own discussions necessarily. Starting off with our unfortunate layoff news of the week. This first one's actually a pretty big deal. I just don't have much to add to the conversation, but definitely worth noting. Take-Two is reportedly planning to shut down Private Division Studios' Roll 7 and Intercept Games as part of recently announced restructuring. Two casualties of Take-Two's recently revealed restructuring are Roll 7, the London-based developer behind Ollie Ollie and Rollerdrome. This is a great developer. They make really cool games, and I'm really sad to hear about this one. And the Seattle-based Intercept Games, which is known for the Kerbal Space Program 2 video game, according to documentation seen by Bloomberg. I've never played Kerbal Space Program, but I know that's also a really well-loved indie-style game. So these are huge losses that they'd shut down these developers. After reports of Intercept Games' closure began circulating online, the spokesperson from Take-Two had refused to comment on the status, saying, quote, on April 16th, Take-Two announced cost reduction program to identify efficiencies across the business and to enhance the company's margin profile while still investing in growth, they told game developer. As part of these efforts, the company is rationalizing its pipeline and eliminating several projects in development and streamlining its organizational structure, which will lead to eliminating headcount and reducing future hiring needs. The company is not providing additional details on the program at this time. So nothing confirmed yet, but it seems all but confirmed that some really bad news coming to both Roll 7 and Intercept Games. So, of course, thoughts with all the developers who are affected by this. Next up, the founders of Deliver Us Mars and Deliver Us the Moon studio, Kyoki N, have announced that the rest of the company has been laid off. In a statement published on X, CEO Keon Dietman and managing director Paul Dietman said that the Netherlands-based studio were forced to make the decision after exhausting all possible options for completing planned project or taking on other work. So again, sad news. But we continue on with the other stories here that thankfully are not related to layoffs, but a good little mix of quick ones to read off. Unfortunately, starting with the fact that Blizzard has announced that BlizzCon will not be held this year after taking 3 years off and then coming back last year. It's taken another year off. The company said that they'll be present at other conventions. Maybe they just don't really have anything worth saying this year. But I know BlizzCon's a huge thing just for the fans to get together and goof off and dress as cosplay characters. So this is obviously a sad one for the fans. Next up, Hi-Fi Rush has been rated by the European ratings board PEGI for Nintendo Switch. This is the first time publicly acknowledged, an official ratings board has acknowledged a Switch version of the game. So that means this is pretty much all but real. This is probably going to be announced pretty soon. So be on the lookout for a Switch version of Hi-Fi Rush. Next up, Capcom is delisting 3 games on Steam next month, leading many to believe that these games will probably be removed from the Xbox platform as well. In fact, these games have been deeply discounted on Xbox, which means they're probably getting ready to remove them from Xbox as well. So the games in question here are sci-fi action adventure Dark Void, which has been available as a Games of Gold game in the past, so you may already have this game. Also, Other Ocean Interactive's retro-style platformer Dark Void Zero, and Proper Games sandbox puzzle game Flock. Make sure you buy these games or download them before they get removed from the storefront if you want to add them to your catalog, because you can always re-download them later once they've been removed from the storefront if you do own it. Next up, Tencent has significantly increased its shareholder stake in Remedy Entertainment. The Alan Wake controlled developer is now the world's largest gaming publisher, holds two... Sorry, let me back up. Tencent, the world's largest gaming publisher, now holds 2 million shares in the Alan Wake control maker, corresponding to almost 15% of the Finnish company's shares and voting rights. I don't know how you have 2 million shares. How many shares are there? Whatever. The Chinese tech giant originally acquired 3.8% shares in May 2021 and increased to 5% in November 2022, so now it's gone up a significant amount. Tencent is scheduled to publish the upcoming Remedy game codenamed Kestrel, which is currently in the concept stage of being rebooted as of last year, where it's going to be more of a premium multiplayer game instead of a free-to-play. Next up, Unity has appointed former EA and Zynga executive Matthew Broomberg as its new CEO, effective May 15th. He will replace current CEO Jim Whitehurst as former IBM president, who assumed the role from John Riccitello, stepping down last October, and who has now been appointed executive chair of the Unity's board. And finally, Funko Fusion has officially been announced with a release date. As of September 13th, 2024, the game will come out on Series X, S, and PC via Steam and Epic Games. Revealed last year, Funko Fusion is a debut game from UK-based studio 1010 Games, which is led by CEO and creative director John Burton, who previously founded Lego developer Travel's Tales, known as TT Games. So basically think the minds behind the Lego games making a Funko game. Kind of seems like a natural fit. That's going to do it for all of our news this week, you guys. It's time to round out the show with the best and last section of the podcast, the comments, the shout-outs. You know how it works. You head on over to youtube.com/XboxOnPodcast. That is at XboxOnPodcast on youtube.com. Click on the latest episode of the podcast. Drop a comment on the latest episode. Subscribe, like while you're there. Maybe if you're on podcast services, consider leaving a 5-star review. It would greatly help out. Even though I never leave 5-star reviews on any podcast I ever listen to because I just don't review podcasts, I'm asking you to do this for me because I'm a fucking hypocrite, and I ask for things without giving anything in return because I'm selfish, I'm self-centered, I'm really only concerned about myself, and I deeply want you to go subscribe to my non-existent Patreon, please, right now. Our first comment comes from Mr. Maug, who writes in regarding Fallout and says, everyone seems to be watching the Fallout show, that I feel left out not watching it. Well, Mr. Maug, don't feel left out. If your heart's not in it, if you watched a little bit and you didn't like it, or you just don't want to watch it, more power to you, man. There's plenty of shit out there. Not everything's for everyone, and it's okay to not like something or for something to just not resonate with you. Could be like me, where Fallout didn't resonate with me. I loved the aesthetic of it. I loved the idea of it, and I just couldn't get into it for the longest time. And now all of a sudden, I love Fallout. And like I was saying earlier, I'm worried about the criticism that I'm subjecting myself to, because it seems like I just waited until Xbox owned Bethesda to start liking their games. But no, it's the honest to God truth. I just grew into this stuff now. It just happened that I started liking this stuff when I was in my mid-20s, as opposed to when I first started seeing this shit when I was back in middle school and high school. So just is what it is. Plenty of great TV out there, plenty of great movies, plenty of great video games. Go enjoy something else. Like the things you like. Don't feel bad if you're not enjoying the thing everyone else is enjoying. Sometimes you'll be with the majority, and sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll be eating a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos on your couch, and then you'll realize, fuck, I got some Cheetos dust on my brand new couch cushions. My mom's going to be so mad. And so you'll take those pillows and the cushions that you stained and throw them in the wash real quick, only to get Cheeto dust all over all your other clothes. And now you got a big Cheeto, cheesy, dusty problem on your hands. And then you'll think to yourself, wow, remember back in the old days when I was so worried about not liking the Fallout show? It seems so trivial and quaint compared to the real problems I deal with today, like how to get Cheeto dust out of my mom's couch cushions. So think about it like that, Mr. Maug. There's always something real to worry about, and then there's something trivial to worry about. And I say that because I'm like you. I'm always worried about something trivial. I'm always worried about, man, it's been 15 years. I still haven't played Mass Effect. I really want to play Mass Effect for the first time. Listen, man, at least my couch cushions have no Cheeto dust on them right now. Think about what a blessing that is. Count your blessings. Mr. Maug, have a great week and continue to be just an incredibly attractive person. I notice a lot of women really like to look at your arms. You have very muscular and impressive arms. Next up, Cronky writes in and says, in honor of Asmodee, I know you get mad at me for the way I pronounce this, Asmodee, I don't give a shit, and Lord of the Rings being freed from Embracer, I vote we rename the podcast to Xbox On and Friends, over my fucking dead body. You said, I fear the future of Xbox as a brand may be one I have no interest in. I love the most powerful console and the backwards compatibility thing. That is the direction that speaks to me. VR and mobile gaming devices, though? Yikes. Well, here's the thing, Cronky. Can it be all of those things? That's the thing I wish for and accept. Game Pass is great. Trying to support VR, trying to get your services available on mobile devices, that's great. But can we have all that alongside complete backwards compatibility support, the most powerful console ever made. Can we have all of these things? Because that's ideal. I have no problem with Xbox trying to expand to new markets and meet new players where they're at. I just don't want them to do it at the expense of the core audience they've built up. And that's part of why I bitch so much about like this bringing games to PlayStation thing. It's not that I don't want PlayStation gamers to be able to enjoy these games. It's that all you're doing is putting a big middle finger up to the only audience you do have, which is your core, long-standing, die-hard, from the womb to the tomb, till death do us part, or OG Xbox fans. It's just like they're so obsessed with trying to get the Asian market with mobile gaming. They're so obsessed with trying to carve out all new markets that don't even interact with Western games by trying to like get into places like Africa and shit. They're so obsessed with trying to tell PlayStation we don't care about the console wars anymore. We're just focused on subscription numbers. They're so obsessed with all these factors that they are sacrificing the only guaranteed base they have, which is all of us stupid motherfuckers that bought an Xbox, an Xbox 360, an Xbox 360 Slim, an Xbox One, an Xbox One S, an Xbox One X, an Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S, external hard drives, additional controllers, custom controllers, elite controllers, collector's editions of Halo 5, even though everyone else said the game was bad, we still bought the $150 version of the game. People who've been subscribed to Game Pass since day one. People who've been championing Xbox when its games were getting no coverage and no love from major mainstream gaming sites. When IGN didn't give a shit about Quantum Break, when IGN didn't give a shit about Halo 5 and Gears 4 and Gears 5 and Forza Horizon 3 and all these games, when no one was talking about these games, we were all buying them. We were all playing them. We were all enjoying our Xboxes. And while the narrative on Reddit and Twitter was Xbox has no games, Xbox One sucks, what a fail, Xbox is doomed, we were all enjoying the fucking games, enjoying the fucking hardware, unlocking our achievements, playing our fucking Xbox friends list, inviting our buddies to parties, grinding some Destiny 2 seasonal content. We were having fun, doing our thing. And these moves Xbox is making is like saying, hey, thanks for sticking around. Fuck you all. Because the 40, 50 million of you are way less important to us than the potential of capturing the PlayStation audience, the PC audience, the Asian market on mobile, trying to carve out a market in Africa, trying to get more love in Europe than we currently have. Good luck with all that. Maybe you succeed. It's a little shitty of you to do it at our expense, though. That's my only issue. If you get rid of Xbox hardware. All right, let's talk about Halo. Mike Clark writes in and says, we need to have a discussion about Halo. It is very evident I played a very different series of the game. Or is it that... sorry, let me reread that sentence. Is it very evident I played a very different series of games than you and others on the internet? Apparently there's a massive amount of lore and story that I missed while shooting things over the past 20 years. Something that transforms a very good game series into a massive storytelling epic. Cronky responded to you and said, nope, you're 100% right, Mr. Mike Clark. The old Bungie games had almost no story at all, and the 343 games certainly try harder, but it's still not nearly as crazy as people make it sound. The attachment people have to it from playing the game over the course of years, making it bigger than it actually is in their eyes. Cronky, you're a little bit right. Mike Clark, you're a little bit right as well, but this is why I always compare Halo to Star Wars. This is one of many reasons why Halo is a perfect video game one-to-one. Like what Star Wars is to movies, Halo often is to video games for very similar reasons as like the big sci-fi franchise. Because it's kind of like Star Wars. If you want to be super pedantic about it, and I'm not trying to insult you, Mike Clark, or you, Cronky. If you want to be oversimplistic about it, if you want to kind of be pedantic about it, you can think about Star Wars before they even did like episode 1, when it was just the original 3 movies. You could look at like the first 3 Star Wars movies and be like, Star Wars is a really simple universe. It's a really simple narrative. People like have this crazy fandom about way too much. Like it's pretty simple. It's this guy, he's a nobody. Where's he from? Finds out he's a Jedi, gets involved in like this political turmoil between the rebels and the Empire, finds out the biggest bad guy of them all is actually his father, has to put a stop to them. It's like, it's cool. There's some story there, no doubt. I'm not saying there's nothing to it, but, people act like it's so big because people are such big fans and they keep talking about these movies and they keep rewatching them. And they keep talking about the lore and they love the characters and they love the vehicles. They love the weapons. They love the costumes. They love the planets. They love all the shit. And they keep talking about it like there's so much to it. But it's like, it's the same thing with Halo. It's like, yeah, are Halo 1, 2, and 3 mind-blowing, crazy, expansive, mindfuck, multi-volume level, like epics with their narratives? No, they're pretty fucking straightforward. This ancient race created these planets that are set to distract this infectious creature base that could destroy humanity. And the point of these planets is that, that humans were destined to be the ones to oversee these ring planets that are to be detonated if need be to destroy the flood from, taking over basically all of humanity and all the races and stuff. It's pretty simplistic. And then there's this other race that thinks that the Forerunners were wrong and that they were the race that should be the ones in control of the Halo rings. And they view it as this religious entitlement, and that, it's simple. It's really cool, but it's really simple. It's straightforward. It's not too complicated. But the thing is, the planets are so cool, and the characters are so cool, and the weapons are so cool. The locations, the enemy types are so cool. There's so many memorable moments. There's so many awesome action set pieces. And in addition to the, not super complicated, super in-depth, but, story that is really good and is there, there's also these like amazing gameplay moments that create their own stories, and people get so invested in what's there that, yeah, they do to some extent make it out to be something bigger than it is, but it's also like, it's a huge, deep, rich story because it's so creative, it's so unique, it's so beloved that people have so much passion for it and see it for so much more than maybe it is at face value, because they extract so much value out of the story. They extract so much value out of the characters, the factions, the implications of like what it means for humanity to be at war with the Covenant and all these things, and what kind of story potential there is to tell with the Flood and all that. It gets more complex. And then, of course, there's the obvious answer, too, which is that just like Star Wars, Halo is so fucking convoluted with all these novels and spin-offs and all these various things that expand the universe in some meaningful and some nonsensical ways. And you take or leave what you want from all the side content and parse together what you want to make of it from there. But I don't know, man. People are really attached to Halo, and I'm clearly one of those people. I adore Halo, and yeah, is it the most complex, like, bespoke, badass, intricate, impressive story ever concocted by humanity? No. But is it a very, very creative, unique, original, fun, exciting world and story that's been built out that really resonated with people and really inspired people, and people have really stuck with it and appreciated and admired and thought about it and loved it for many years? Yeah. And so for those reasons, the Halo story lives on to be so much bigger than it seemed at face value. And if you don't have the history and the love and the association and the years of playing and engaging with Halo that a lot of other people have, you might play it for the first time and be very underwhelmed. You might play Combat Evolved for the first time in 2024 and go, that's it? Your spaceship is being invaded by the Flood, so you take an evac pod to this ring planet and you discover a Halo ring, and then you destroy the Halo ring to kill the Flood? And that's it? That's the story of Halo? That's the thing people are freaking out about? And I know that feeling because I was born in 1995. I didn't grow up with Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope and all these movies. I didn't grow up with them. I grew up with fucking episodes 1, 2, and 3. So when I finally did go back and tried to watch the original 3 Star Wars movies and tried to get an appreciation, I wasn't able to just instantly capture the experience of what it was like to go to the movie theaters as a 12-year-old boy in 1977 and experience A New Hope for the first time. I can't retroactively make it happen. So I watched A New Hope for the first time when I was probably 16, because I really didn't give a shit about Star Wars until much later, until Disney bought it. And yeah, I'm like, I feel how you feel about Halo, about Star Wars. I'm like, what's the big fucking deal? I understand its significance culturally and what it contributed to cinema and to sci-fi and nerd culture, and I understand those very important contributions Star Wars gave to pop culture and to cinema. But as a movie on its own, I watch it, for the first time in the 2010s as a teenager, and I go, what's the big fucking deal? This movie's boring. So it's a little bit of a time and place thing. It's a little bit of like a how open-minded are you to trying to understand what people appreciate about it. It's a little bit of a you had to be there kind of thing. It's a little bit of a were you just in the right headspace when you experienced it? It's a lot of factors. I'm not saying someone can't come to Halo in 2024 for the first time and learn to love it the way fans from day one love it. You know, I'm not saying that people today can't watch New Hope for the first time and learn to love it the same way 45-year-old bearded men love it. Of course they can. But you understand why it might be harder in general for those people to get it. So, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm over-explaining something that's kind of simple, but did we play the same Halo? Yes. But did we play the same Halo from the same perspective with the same experience? No. Mike Clark, please do me a favor and play Halo 3 over and over and over again until you understand it the way I do. And if you don't, I will eject you from this planet. Thank you, Mike Clark. Have a wonderful week. Way of the Lao is back. He's back from the, I don't know what he did. Maybe he died. Maybe he just went carbon hunting. Do you hunt for carbon? Is that how that's extracted? I don't fucking know. And he writes in for the first time in a long time and says, what's going on? What are you talking about, crabs? Horrible medical condition it is. LOL JK. Todd Howard should make comments about the burritos at Taco Bell, just like Phil Spencer. Great podcast, my dude. It helps the depression, my guy. Hey, man, I don't understand anything you said in this comment until that last part, but it warms my heart and makes my day. So thank you for saying that. Every day is its own challenge, man. I just appreciate you being here. Just know I've always appreciated you. Every time you write in, every time you were there for a stream, it's always been great having you along. So Mr. Way of the Lao, I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're feeling good, and I hope life's being good to you because you're a good man. You deserve good things. So thank you very much, sir. I hope you're having just the best fucking... You know, I hope you have a great year. I hope when Hellblade 2 comes out, they have a special credits section, a special thanks section in the credits, and that they put you in there for no fucking reason. No reason at all. And I hope it makes you feel uncomfortable because you go, why? How do they know who I am? Why am I in here? Is there a second Way of the Lao? Is that who this is a tribute to? I don't fucking know. But I hope it happens because that would be weird. It'll be a cool story to tell. So have a great day. And our final comment, as always, when we're blessed, comes from none other than Mr. Headhunting Halo, who says, I just finished the Fallout TV show. Best adaptation there is. Loved every minute of it. Why can't Halo learn or any other series take from the games? I'm also playing Fallout 4 on my PS5, and I'm hooked all over again. Bought all the DLC, bought all the DLC, and playing 60 FPS now. I'm having a blast. Have a good one, everyone. Headhunting Halo, I hope you have a great week. Why are you playing on PS5? You have Game Pass, you have Xbox, so why are you playing on PS5? Is this because I complimented the DualSense controller? Is that what's happening? Is you knew I was going to compliment the DualSense controller, so you said, let me buy Fallout 4 all over again on the PlayStation 5 with the DLC in tow? I don't know. I don't actually give a shit. Whether you play it on PS5, whether you play it on Xbox, whether you play it on the fucking Ouya, I hope you're having a great time. Fallout 4, great game. I'm enjoying it as well. I'm right there with you, brother from potentially the same mother. I don't fucking know. I don't know who you are. I don't know the man behind the mask. Maybe you're my actual brother. Probably not. But I love you anyway. So Headhunting Halo, have a great week. Everyone, have a great week. Thank you all for writing in. Thank you all for listening. For a very long, lengthy, sexy episode of the Xbox On podcast, let's wrap it up. I'm Jesse. I'm your host. I'm the only host this podcast has ever had. Probably the only host this podcast will ever have. And until next week, be good. Treat your bodies well. Treat those around you well. Show love to the people you care about. If you have kitties, for the love of God, pet them. They're so fucking cute and fluffy. I don't understand how in this dark world we live in, cats are they're just so fucking awesome. They're just there. They're furry. They make weird sounds. They do really stupid shit. The other night, I was laying in bed. I was watching the Dallas Stars and the Las Vegas Knights dish it out in the playoffs game, and my cat comes in the room, runs up to a pile of laundry, attacks my pants that have a little string on the front, bites it, spins around, runs out the door. Made my night. Best fucking part. Fuck hockey. Watching my cat do that, best part of the day. Pet your kitties. Guys, have a great weekend. Have a great week. God bless. Power your dreams.